don't have any.
What's going on, everybody? It is Brandon Toy, host of Brandon's Show. Hope everybody's doing good out there. And it is Thursday, January 14th, 2021. January's almost half over. Time just flies, doesn't it? Let's see. What do we got going on? Let's say hello to everybody in chat first. Bill G. What's up, Bill G? Ian Adams. Almost unbelievable. Ranty himself is in the chat. What's up, Ranty? If you haven't checked out his new channel, check it out. Almost unbelievable channel. Really cool podcast. And I'll bring that up on screen later. But go subscribe to that. Check it out. Check out his podcast. Strawman Dan. Page 42. What's up, Page? And we've got Flat for Life. Hey, Flat for Life. NW Dude. What's up, NW Dude? Alexander Lightwater. Matrix Media was first. And again, Ian Adams, falsely claimed first again tonight. What's going on, guys? Hope everybody's doing okay. We've got some people in the Discord, so we'll go see them in a minute. Let's see. What did I want to do? Oh, yeah. That's right. I am supposed to put the Streamlabs link in there. If you want to support the show, I'll put the link in here and pin it to the top. You can support it through Streamlabs. It's nice and easy. And any support is appreciated. Although you just being here is enough. And the best way to support the show is to come into the Discord, show some new evidence, show some observations you took. Let us know a new argument. Send us a picture, whatever. Just being here is cool enough by me. We got some interesting stuff tonight. Ranty shared something with me he found on Facebook. About the approach that they're taking to flat earth channels. So that's going to be a little freaky. And then other than that, I really don't have much planned, but we've got a good group in the chat, so I'm sure we'll have some more discussions. Probably talk a little bit more about how we make this damn straight line. Got some ideas we've been kicking around, so probably share that with the panel. And got some links to look at. We finally get to that Blue Marble plane flight thing. I figured out how to share the audio with the Discord as well as YouTube. So we can do that. I'm assuming that I'm coming through good out there in the chat because I see everything good on this end. Let me know if there are any audio issues. I think you probably would have by now. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started, guys.
So then we look at that natural observation, and then we see that we are born. We see that our outer vestige matures and develops and changes, and then we die. And then at that moment we say, what happens to us then? That then takes it outside of natural observation and more into the metaphysical, but it's still philosophy. It's still discussing. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with philosophy in and of itself. But we have to understand, I think, where the line gets drawn between natural observations and metaphysical ones that we can't substantiate.
Exactly. There was a thing there that, well, that's what I'm saying. All these guys were philosophers, and what you'll find now is, right, you ask any scientist, like all the named ones like Cox and Guth and all that, they hate philosophers, because what philosophers do is they discuss the credibility of exactly what Travis is saying, the metaphysical. They know that they're bringing in metaphysical subjects. That's why Lawrence Krauss and all that don't like philosophers, because they go into the nitty gritty of it. It's sort of, well,
Well, the thing is, metaphysics is just taking what you know about the physical world with your everyday experience and trying to extrapolate and make guesses about the unseen part of the world that you haven't experienced or sensed directly. Science does that by using previous empirical data and experience. Other branches of philosophy try to do it mentally. It's still a similar, similar epistemology in that you're trying to use what you've seen and known or what you feel you already know to approach the unseen and in some cases what people consider unknowable. It's still metaphysical.
No.
What's up, guys? How you doing? Sound like a pretty interesting and deep conversation that I stepped in the middle of, but we are live now.
Yeah, you interrupted.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you interrupted.
You want me to
Brandon.
go away? I can,
No worries.
I can
It's
go
your
away.
show. No, come back. It's your show.
All right. What's up, Allie B? I saw you were live earlier today. What's going on with you, man?
Nothing much. I was just, I'm unbanned now. I can live stream again. Only got a week's ban there, so for playing an Alex Jones video.
Was it content?
So
Was
I'm
it a community strike that they gave you for a week, or was it something else?
It was, I breached community guidelines. So
Ugh.
yeah, it was only a week.
Yeah, I got I got something to show you guys in regards to that in a minute. As soon as I get through introductions, that's kind of scary, but hey, they're cracking down, man. They got a new excuse and they're running with it for sure. Flat Earth Data, what's up, Data? Helvetica Bold, hey Mark.
Hiya, folks.
Hey, Mark.
Good to be here. Hi, Ali B. Hi, Travis and Jimbo and everybody else.
What's going on? Good day, everybody.
What's up, Data? What's up, Mark? And we've got Travis, his ether bandiness.
Hello.
What? Wasn't he a doctor and a professor before, and now he has upgraded himself to royalty?
Yeah.
Self-proclaimed.
Yeah. Doctor, professor, what do they call? His Majesty Travis. What's up, dude? Jeremy, what's going on, man?
Yo, what up?
Jimbo. What's up, Jimbo? Lemon. Jimbo, you might be having mic issues or you're across the room doing something. Lemon, what's going on, man? Bob Dole. Oh, there he is.
I will now be referred to from here on as the illustrious potentate.
All right, that's cool.
Okay.
See if we can remember that. Well, let's get it started since the subject came up of YouTube banning people and stuff. Ranty sent this to me earlier. I should be sharing my screen in Discord. This was a Facebook channel, I take it, or a Facebook group, I think, called The Globe is Flat. I don't know if anybody's familiar with this group, but the message here says the group has been disabled. This is because official flat earth discussion goes against our community standards on dangerous individuals and organizations. We have these standards to prevent and disrupt offline harm. What do you think about that? That means we're dangerous individuals and organizations now. We're like,
apparently.
That's pretty badass, right?
Yeah, it's cool, man.
Seems like they're acting like Brady cats.
Rebels. We're rebels with a cause, right?
It's like being labeled anarchists back in the late 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll wear that badge with pride. Sorry.
Yeah, dangerous individuals and organizations. And what do they think's going to happen offline? What is going to happen with flat earthers offline? Because we've been offline together, and I believe all that happened was a bunch of talking.
You might convince somebody. You might convince somebody of the truth. That's what might happen. They can't allow that.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
I think
for sure.
Let that go unchecked.
What we need to find is a platform where they don't censor you, where they let you say what you want and post what you want.
doesn't exist.
Here's the problem. I mean, look what they did to Parler. Parler was set up, specifically to get around Twitter's, community guidelines, and it was all political. It was like, Trumpsters and whatever. But they took away the hosting. Amazon just yanked the hosting,
Right.
took down the whole damn site. So they say to us,
Bloody hell.
they say to us, well, it's a private corporation. We can do as we want. Would you just allow someone
Free
to
and
come in
open
your
internet.
house and do what they wanted to do? So set up your own
Free and open
website.
internet doesn't work whenever they can take away the servers that everything has to run through, basically.
Yeah.
Have you
I've been
guys
saying
looked
this from the
into
beginning.
Servers, Amazon
Easily.
decides who gets to use the servers.
Yeah, I've
Dude, you
been
can
saying
make
this
your
from
own
the beginning.
server if you want. Sorry.
I've been saying this from the beginning. Inside your house, you want to control everything: the temperature, the noise level, who comes and goes, with the color of paint on the wall, everything in your house you want to control. Earth is their house, and they're going to control it, just like you would in your house.
Yeah, but,
Yeah, but I have to say about YouTube and Twitter and all them. They've every right to silence us. It's their fucking business. So I don't have a problem with it. It's dodgy, but you can't criticize them. You can't say they're doing anything wrong.
see, I disagree with you
It's
there.
They own it.
I disagree with you there,
How
Ellie.
about
Here's my thinking. In
Go
the
on, then.
United States, and I come
Yep.
from a United States perspective, and we have the First Amendment, so we're supposed to be, our free speech is protected from the government. So we put that in there for a reason, because previously the king or the queen or whoever was restricting speech, and people weren't able to organize and speak out against those in power without repercussion. Now we're going to allow nameless, faceless, multinational corporations who are unelected to control these platforms that have essentially become the town square. These really are the digital town square. This is where everybody's talking. This is where everybody's sharing information, and we're giving them that power to decide what we can speak about.
Yeah,
Support your
it's in the
favorite
title as
channel,
well.
folks.
The spirit of
Shout out to
YouTube was it's you,
Allied.
it's your tube. You say what you want, broadcast what you want. That was the original spirit of it.
yeah,
Well, the
but
thing is,
listen.
there's a really important legal thing here,
Shout out, Dank. Thanks. Really appreciate it.
and people who put in, like, if you're working for Time Magazine, you can write an article. Unless the publisher accepts it, it's not going to be published in the magazine. These platforms are, well, you have to figure out, is it really a publishing platform or
It's
a
a
public
gatekeeping.
forum? Now, you can't automatically
gatekeeper.
attribute them all as public forums. That's wrong.
See, Ali, the next step could be like in China, where what you can look at on the internet is monitored.
Yeah, but look, the opportunity. Look, we can build our own servers. We can do all that. They made those companies. I'm sorry, I'm a capitalist.
Yeah, but
and
Ali,
they own the companies.
people did that.
Yep,
They
you're
did
not
that
gonna
with
change my mind.
Parler. They did that, and
No,
they
they
still
didn't.
got shut
They
down.
didn't do that. That's the thing. They didn't have their own servers. They used somebody else's servers. That's why they were able to be taken offline. Amazon said, nope,
Exactly.
you're not using our services anymore. We're not going to let
Well,
your website run through our servers, and so it went away. And they do have the right. If I go out and I buy a megaphone, I don't have the obligation to let you use it because you want to say something through it. Just because I have the thing that makes my voice heard more doesn't mean I have to give it to you. You have to go either make or buy your own megaphone.
So let me ask you
Couldn't
something.
put it better
So
myself.
we're going to set up our own servers. We're going to get all this set up.
Okay.
Then the next step is going to be, this is dangerous to allow them to have their own servers. They can't use the internet backbone. So what are we going to have to do then?
Right.
Go out
Oh,
and
you
create
can set
our
up
own
a server
internet
and they can
backbone?
block your IP
Are we
and
going to
shut
have
down
to
your
create
server.
our own internet
Don't
service
think you can set up
providers
your own
to
server
take
with
our
Unity.
special? Hold on, Jim.
This
To take
is-
our internet to the people? That's ridiculous, dude.
This is what it comes down to. You need to recognize that it's not important enough to play their game. Okay, use the services that they allow everybody to use. Okay, and yes, use whatever is at your disposal to fight back in the ways that you can, for sure. Like, YouTube, if there's some sort of a system they have set up to fight, say, I didn't do this, so put my video back up, whatever. That's all fine. But when it comes down to it, if we get to the point where they're letting certain groups use the internet and not other groups, it ultimately won't matter as far as life, the universe, and everything is concerned, because life isn't about the internet and being able to get your voice heard by everybody out in the world. Life is about you interacting with your family and your friends and your neighbors and building a community. If they want to have their own separate community online and they are going to insist that you're not a part of it, why do you want to be a part of it?
That's ridiculous.
anyone-
that is
anyone
ridiculous. I got to tell you, Bob, that is ridiculous. And I just going to be this how I feel. That is the exact kind of attitude that people laying down and saying, well, yep, it's a private company, or, well, you don't want us around, so we should go away. That is going to lead to nothing but establishment bullshit propaganda on the internet and nothing else being allowed. That is
It's
power
already-
we are
it's
handing them. And if
already
we
on
do
the
that,
internet.
if we
Like,
let them
what does
take
that
that,
even mean?
Bob, we're
It's already
giving them
there.
power. We're giving them the megaphone. What we
No,
have
we're
to
not.
whisper
We're not
to
giving
each
them any
other.
power. We don't need the
question.
internet. We didn't need the internet. We still don't need the internet. They always had the power. They have always had the ability to tell people they can't use the internet. That's never been our hands. Literally, none
Quick
of us have
question.
ever had that power in our hands, which means we don't have any way to give it up because we never had it. They've always been able to say, no, you can't use it. It's just they haven't until now. That's it.
It's the reason
Real
why.
quick, real
It's the
quick.
reason why that you can't use it, because we don't agree with your thoughts and your beliefs. That
Right.
is fundamentally immoral and wrong.
Yes.
It,
Real
free,
quick,
free speech. Hang on. Free speech isn't just because the speech is nice to listen to. Free speech should be also about what is not nice to listen to, what challenges you, and what you find to be offensive. Well, tough if you're going to be offended. But that's what free speech is: to say anything that you want. I'm going to make a correction, as long as it's not incitement to violence.
So real quick, they banned this group because they were talking about flat Earth, right? Have they banned other groups for talking about flat Earth, or anyone talking about flat Earth other than this one group?
I don't know. This is
Because there's
this is the only group that
there's
I've
a lot
seen.
of Globers. There's a lot of Globers on there that are talking about flat Earth, so they should be banned as well, or is it just the people that are promoting flat Earth?
Nobody should be banned.
Mark,
Well,
I
I know, but if they're going to go by the thing that says if you're talking about flat Earth, it's dangerous and you're getting banned, then they got to uphold that to the Globers too.
But
they don't.
Your question means you're
They
accepting.
should, but they don't have to, because they're not going to. What do you mean by they have to? They don't have to do anything that you like. That just because it's the right thing to do doesn't mean they have to do it. That's kind of where free will, that's what free will is, right? We can recognize what is good and what is right and what is the way to do things, but nobody has to do that. That's what free will is. They can choose to not do that. The question is, what is the consequence, or what is the response to that going to be? And is the thing that they're disagreeing or refusing to follow, is it an absolute moral issue, or is it a thing that we don't like in our opinion, so we don't think they should do it?
If you could turn off Simon Dan, would you do?
Turn off Simon Dan?
Yeah, and all the crap that he puts forward. Would you turn him off if you could do?
No.
No, that's true.
That would depend on the situation and what you mean by that. I wouldn't let him into my house and talk to my children. If he tried to, I would kick him out. I would shut him up. I would actually force him to stop talking until he was out of earshot of my children. I would not let him. Okay,
But
that's
here's
not
one for you, Mark. Mark, one second, Mark. Let me just say something. Let me say something, Mark. Here's a question for you, right? Do you believe you have the right to force your will upon another person?
Absolutely not. No.
Right. Well, there you go. Then. So YouTube can do what the fuck they like. Twitter can do what they like. You can't decide what. Nobody can decide what they do. Otherwise, you're being hypocrites, because we demand that we have freedom of speech and all that.
I have another
right to
Ali, I'm not demanding freedom of speech. I'm just pointing out the immorality of YouTube.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
That's what I'm saying. I totally agree with you. I totally agree. It's not right.
Right. We're not arguing that it's a good thing that they're doing, or that it's right. But the idea that they don't have the right to do it, that's incorrect. They do. And we
Can we
accept
make
this
it-
with all kinds of other things. Whenever we go to somebody's establishment, there's rules, and they have the right, if we don't follow the rules, to kick us out, even if we disagree with the rules. Even if we want to go in there and speak our mind and have our freedom of speech, that's not a right that we have that violates other people's rights. They also have the right to live peaceably. They have the right to life, liberty, and a pursuit of happiness. Our right to free speech does not encroach on their rights. When you walk
Can we
into a
make-
gas station, if you don't have a shirt, they can kick you out. If you start screaming expletives at their customers, they can kick you out because your rights end at their private property or their what they own. Okay, so you walk onto someone else's property.
It's
You
more
can
than
only
it's
be there
more,
if they allow you to be there.
it's more than that, though, isn't it? It's because of your opinion that they don't want you there. Now that is dangerous territory for me.
Yeah,
Can we
it's
make it-
dangerous.
Okay.
Nobody's arguing with that. Nobody's arguing with that
Yeah.
fact.
Right.
But the point
It
is,
could be dangerous, but think about this.
But the
If
point
somebody
is,
comes into
they
my house and says, in their opinion, rape is totally okay, I'm going to kick them out. Just because I don't like their opinion. It's okay to kick people out of the community that don't agree with the community. That's how you have a community, is because people agree to work together from the same values. If somebody decides they don't
Guys,
share
can I
those
get in?
values, you
That's a
have
bit
the right to
extreme.
kick them out.
All right, Bob,
That's a
we
bit
get it.
extreme.
We
Real
get it.
quick.
We get it. We're not talking about people showing up in their fucking underwear to your daughter's birthday party, dude. We're talking about
Can I get in
I
real
know,
quick?
but the
free
principle
speech
stands.
speech platforms in the whole world that have virtual monopolies and grew out of essentially government programs.
Okay, can
That's true.
a discrimination case be made that they're discriminating against us?
I would
'Cause
think
if they're not
only
gonna
probably
kick
if you
everyone-
claimed it was your religion. If you
No, the
attempted to
judge
claim that it
would
was a
kick it out.
sincerely held religious belief, maybe, but
Yeah, I don't think that'll
the
work
judge
either.
would kick it out.
No
The judge would kick that out
yeah, even
straight
that
away.
might not.
Especially
they're-
since
they're
they've now
right, so-
convinced themselves that we're like quasi-terrorists or something.
They are.
Right.
They have been for years, Brandon. Right?
Yeah.
But that's exactly what they did with like Trump supporters over the last 4 years, right? As soon as like it didn't have anything to do with people being violent or people getting physical or anything like that. All it was if you said, "Yeah, I think Trump's doing all right," pretty sure they would have no problem labeling you as a white supremacist, Nazi terrorist who wants all the black people dead. Like they would just lay into you, right? Like that's what they do with the people that they think are not thinking their way or aren't agreeing with them, is they have to make everybody else think that they're dangerous.
No, but it's not a good thing. I don't think I mean, it's shit what they're doing. It's shit, but in the end up, I see it for what it is. I'd be a hypocrite if I said they've no right to stop me speaking. When they banned me, I was like, well, they've every right to ban me. I wasn't really bothered about it. You know what I mean? But I don't think we've got I don't think there's a problem that they're banning people, and yeah, it's dangerous what they're doing. But in the end up, they own it. They own it. So
It's why
what
they
can you
kicked you
say?
off, though, Ali, isn't it? It's why they kicked you off because we don't like the way you think.
No, I wouldn't even. I don't care.
Right.
The point is, they can kick me off for any reason. But they can kick me off for any reason they want, and I wouldn't get. I laughed when they done it. I said, well, and moved on. I'm not going to get upset about it because I know and I believe that they have every right to do that. I'm not saying it's right, and I don't agree with it. I think it's fucking. I think it's ridiculous and it's terrible. But in the end up.
Can I go one step deeper then with you, Ali?
They own that. They own it's theirs.
Think about what Ranty did several months ago.
What to do, who to have on, you know. That's my opinion anyway.
The Brenda guy, he got on here and he just typed a message saying that he was going to report something, and Ranty kicked him off. Okay, that's not because Ranty is somehow evil. It's that person was not following along with the community's shared values. And was going to report basically because their feelings were hurt or they didn't like the words they were hearing. So he kicked that person off of the platform, off of our community. Okay, and he had every right to do that because it's his. It's Ranty's. It was Ranty's channel at that time. Okay, so he had the right to kick Brenda off for what Brenda said. It was enough. Okay, but that doesn't make Ranty evil.
I think we're missing the big issue here, guys.
What's that, SE?
First of all, I'm very happy to be in the 1%ers. I guess we're the internet 1%ers now. We're the bad boys. It's official.
Hell yeah, we're
Yeah,
dangerous.
maybe.
Yeah. The point I want to make, guys, is this. Listening to you guys talk, very interesting. And the thing is, you're both right. Both camps are right, and that's what they're counting on. You see, how if you're the government, right, and you want to control the masses, now what do, right? You can't do it yourself, right? So what do? You enable certain platforms, right? You control them, and you push your agenda through them, and people like Bob is going to say and fight to the death and say, we have the right because it's private. That I'm not putting you down, Bob. I'm just giving you like an overview of the overlord.
And I'm not fighting for corporation rights. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Okay, what if we get?
You
What
get
if
where
we
I'm
get?
coming from, though?
Hold on. What if we get?
I think so.
What if we get classified
Maybe not.
as a religion? Would they be able to censor us then, or would that be discrimination?
No, they can't even tax you after that. You're free to believe
No,
whatever.
I'm saying
you
would
want.
Facebook and YouTube just be like, well, we don't like your religion, you're out of here.
They're gonna find a way, man, because they control the media, and that's what they're worried about, is the control of information. That is just pure power. It's probably one of the
Right.
bedrocks to their power and their ability to get their agenda done.
There
I
might
think
even
they
be
figured that
wordage.
out, Brandon. Take NASA for example, right? They just pushed first. They pushed it off to the Russians. Now with SpaceX, right? So from now on, anything that goes wrong, who are they going to point the finger to?
Oh,
SpaceX.
exactly. Yeah, they found a scapegoat.
Yeah.
Oh well, no, I think we've just what you're talking about, the American government having a go at SpaceX or something, or what?
Well, I think what SE.
Yeah, they gave all the responsibility now to SpaceX, right? So when the space hotel doesn't come, or when the next whatever planned moon mission, they're gonna blame it on somebody else. That's what I think.
Yep.
If you realize all these companies are just transferring the wealth of the people over. When every rocket and every rocket that SpaceX puts up there is underwritten by the government. So if it blows up, there was that last one. There was one that they blew up recently or whatever. That was an insurance job, and I bet you there was loads of satellite companies said, "Oh well, we had this on there," and they had. In the American public, every time you see a rocket explode, that's your tax money, because they underwrite it. Well, they do. They insure it. They underwrite it. They stand as a.
But Ali, how many Americans know what you're saying? You're spot on, bro. But everybody thinks it's a private company. It's a private company, right?
SpaceX.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're quasi-governmental. I'm not buying it.
Oh, they're definitely. It was like Bill Gates. Bill Gates only ever owned, I think it was 3% or 4% of Microsoft.
You think they're using these corporations as a front?
He was the guy that was put out there. He done nothing.
You think they're using these corporations as a
just what you said, Brandon.
Yeah, like they'll set up some guy like what's the Tesla guy, Elon Musk. You think he's in charge of that whole thing? I just don't buy it. He's like the
chance. He's the fall guy.
Yeah, he's the face of the corporation, and he probably gets whatever he wants, gets a bunch of money. But in the end, is he really controlling that much wealth and driving that much things down? I don't know, man.
No way. Look,
I'm telling you, I don't like it. But if we get classified as a religion, then they can't persecute us anymore, right? Or
I
that's
don't think
that's a pipe dream, man. That ain't never gonna happen.
How do you get classified as a religion anyway, though? I mean,
I
who
don't
is
know.
it that decides you're a religion?
Well, Scientology.
I have no idea.
You said the words out of my mouth, Ali. Tell them.
I don't like it. I don't like the idea of being a religion because
no, I think someone else wants to talk here, SE.
Tell him, Ali. Tell him, bro. Tell him.
It's important not to sacrifice. Basically,
It was just they fought years for it, and right. Well, am I not talking or fucking something? Never mind. Sorry, on you go.
Oh,
Obviously,
It's important that you don't lose your core values just so you can try and be comfortable or convenient or stop someone from persecuting you. We understand that it's not a religion, which means if we were in any way to attempt to get it classified as one, we would be lying. We would be saying that we're a religion when we know for sure that we're not. If you're willing to lie to protect yourself, then you're not actually an honest person.
Okay, so what's a religion, Bob?
What's that?
Okay, my initial question is, what is a religion, right?
It's
a
specific set of beliefs.
Okay, we got that.
Yep.
Right.
Tick that one off. Next.
Tick that one off. Okay, yeah, next.
A charity.
No,
I don't know that that's a, I mean, that that could possibly be a characteristic of it. But my point is, if we look at, and again, I'm a big guy on breaking down the etymology of the word. Religion comes from the Latin relegare, right? We are relegated by certain principles that are empirical in the natural world. So we are relegated by certain things. We are spiritual.
Yeah, you know what?
People,
I guess if you approach it from that angle where you're dissecting the word and you figure out basically what it actually is supposed to mean, and you can line up what it is we're talking about here, and you can say, honestly, like, it does technically qualify as religion, then actually I think you might be right. I think if you look at it, you might be able to find that. So
yeah, absolutely.
I wasn't really thinking about it in that way. I was thinking about it coming from the angle of what people normally refer to, or at least, I guess I'm not sure exactly how to explain it, but whenever I was thinking of something, whenever you said religion, but that's not necessarily what it has to mean when you're talking to them. It just has to be whatever word they want to use for it is fine. We just have to make sure it is what we say it is. That's all. And then we can still be honest, and they can have their little paper that says, "Oh, they're a religion." Like,
well, listen to this.
Yeah, but
okay, so Scientology
honesty.
went through this. It took them 37 years, and they had to infiltrate the IRS in order to get it done, commit major felonies. People went to jail for espionage. I mean, it's a really interesting story if you ever look for it. Not that we're comparable to Scientology, but the government's not just going to lay down and say, okay, you get all the protections of a religion, fill out this form. It's just not going to happen.
right.
Well, let's say we did get classified as a religion, would Facebook and YouTube still be able to just kick us off willy-nilly?
If they came up with an excuse,
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think they might have wordage like automatically built into their thing.
United States, they can kick off a religion or the Dalai Lama if they want.
Yeah, it's worthless then. Forget about being a religion. Just forget it. That was the whole point.
I don't know about that. No. Because it's tax free, so we could all get benefits because you don't pay tax on a religion. So
I was just trying to think of a way to get out of getting persecuted on these websites. But if it's not going to work, then forget it.
Here's one for you. What you do is you start up a flat earth landscape company or a flat earth building company or a flat earth technical support company which is owned by the religion, and then what you do is you get paid bonuses, or you'll get I don't know, a house because in a certain part of the world because you can use it for business meetings. There's always
I don't care about the money.
I
don't care about the money or anything. I was just trying to figure out a way to not get kicked off these websites.
Yeah, he was seeing if he could come up with like a force shield or whatever to protect us from the obvious bias that they're throwing out.
Yeah,
that's all
psychological.
Well, they'll kick the president of the United States off, so I don't think they're gonna. That means no one's safe,
That's true. Yeah. And honestly, being a religion does us more harm than good because,
right? It's not like it would help people. I would say, come to it with an open mind, thinking that it might be reasonable. If you're out there calling it a religion, they're probably going to be possibly more defensive against it.
Yeah.
We could come up with some
All
pretty
we're
cool
trying to do
hats
is just
to wear
point
in our
out
religion,
this is
though.
what it is.
You know, some
what?
some
Come
cool
on.
robes, maybe a cape. Like we could wear
The
capes.
tinfoil.
Oh,
We get a
You got to have the
tinfoil
hat. Okay, the hat is important.
Tinfoil hat.
A flat ruler. We need a ruler. A
Symbol
level.
the apron. We need an apron.
Yeah, an apron. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a must.
With the flat earth symbol on it.
Yeah.
Oven mitts.
We
The
need
all-seeing dome.
And a handshake.
And the
Just use a
handshake.
colander for our hat.
If we had a sports mascot, if we had a sport team, that would be a sex.
Dana,
Oh,
you're a
don't
little
forget
low.
the 1%er sign, huh?
So once our religion is set up, are we going to excommunicate Ali B?
No, we're not doing a religion. Scratch the religion.
To the
Scratch
gallows.
See, the Inquisition has already begun, and we haven't gotten it even ratified yet.
I know. My God, man. How
My
come I'm the
stretcher
first?
is
I'm
ready,
always
my
the first.
Take long.
I mean, how long before this trickles down from Facebook to YouTube to Discord to everything?
Right.
And then we can't talk nowhere. What are we going to do then?
Exactly.
The Earth
Well,
will
it's
still be
about time we
flat.
done something about it then, right? Stop going onto these channels and let's make our own servers.
That is really the best, the only way. But Ali, if they want to come after us, then they can say you can't use the internet backbone. You can't use the IPS or what is the where you register your domain name. You can't use the domain name system. I mean, they control it. Bob's right.
And
They
there's
control it in the
even-
end, no matter what.
The way it was explained to me in tech school or whatever, that like there's these hubs that connect like to the ones that go like underneath the oceans and stuff like that. There's these hubs that they go through in different parts of the world, and I don't know who controls those hubs. So like even if you were able to get your own servers, your own domain name list and stuff like that, to where you could hand out domain names, even if you got all that set up, as far as we know, there could still be someone who owns those hubs. They're just like, you're not going to get to go through the hub anymore.
Yeah,
You can
I think
basically
we
get
gave
to
control
people
up.
in your area.
Obama gave control up of those hubs to the United Nations at some point, I believe. Maybe it wasn't the United Nations, and those were developed. You can see it right here. They were developed. This stuff was all developed by ARPANET. I think that's what's happening. Some of these companies like Tesla, they're spinning out technology and stuff from DARPA or some other shadow organization,
Boston
shit, CIA.
Boston Dynamics.
Who knows?
Well, we all know that the UN is a very reasonable group. We'll just ask them if we can use the internet, and it'll be fine, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys know of article?
Hey guys, did any of you guys
How
catch
dare
the video? They were talking about the vote fixing. Apparently, it stemmed from Italy.
Oh, I've heard
Did you
that,
guys
but I haven't been able. I haven't seen the details enough to.
I've got it's on YouTube. I think it's still on YouTube. I'm not sure, but it's just a conversation. I think it was an investigation. I think I can't remember what women, but it was like a group of them, and they were all brainstorming, saying how are we going to get this to Trump? What about that staff guy? There was a woman there says, I've got a private airfield if anybody needs use of it and all this kind of thing. So they were quite high up. It was quite an interesting conversation. We were talking about, it was an Italian company that messed with the satellites, and they were virtually what do you call it? Yeah, monitoring every call. They fixed they changed the voting system through satellites. Via internet. They programmed into a satellite. Obviously, some of you guys don't believe in it, but this is a story. Programmed into a satellite and beamed it down or something. And I'll get the thing. I'll do it tomorrow, Brandon. I'll send you. It's about 45 minutes or an hour long, but it's just a group of people talking about but they seem to be quite high up. And there's a few big names get mentioned, but they've got the evidence.
Okay.
They've got a load of evidence. Yeah, it's quite a fascinating listen. It's just it's like a Zoom meeting kind of thing.
Okay.
These people talking about it.
That sounds interesting.
I'll see if I can find it and I'll post it.
Okay.
I'll post it in the Discord.
Yeah, I don't know how much we want to
So
talk
can I-
about
can
that
I get
because I
back
think
into the
that's one of the
religion?
things that they're taking people right down for. But yeah, we'll take a look at it. What the hell?
Well, it's all. Oh no, don't. I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't play it. Don't play it. I'm saying have a look at it, and but I think it's still up on YouTube though. I think it is.
There,
Oh, okay.
you know,
Okay.
there have already been, from what I understand, like lawsuits and stuff like that against like what are considered religious groups for not letting in certain people, for like having certain restrictions on who can be a member and who can't be a member. So
So that mean I can
I
sue
don't think
you?
that I don't think that
For-
the religions, as they're considered, are even themselves considered like free from people like reaching in and saying, no, you have to accept this, no, you have to do this way. It's supposed to be. You're not supposed to be able to do that, but I don't know that that's actually being upheld in the United States even now with the way things have been working.
Yeah. Well, we seem to
I
be
think
slipping.
I think what it's going to come down to ultimately is we're going to have to make a decision at some point. Is it something we're willing to die for, or is it something we're going to let go? I think that's what that's what it always is going to come down to eventually, right? That's just the way it works.
Well, we're here now, so let's enjoy the time we're here, and
Yeah.
you know, we'll see where we go. Travis did send me a link to, and I think I've seen this before on either Jaren's or Globebusters, but this NewTube. Have you used this, Travis? Are you uploading things to this?
Let me just
No,
say real.
I had just gotten it from somebody on Facebook or whatnot, and I went and checked it out a little bit. I think you have to pay to start using it, so at least that's where it starts off. But I just keep forgetting to look into it any further.
From the looks of it,
Has anyone
our
looked
time-
into that other one, the rumble.com or whatever?
From the looks of it, our time.
I think the one that you were talking about, Brandon, was called Lighthouse, and it had like 3 eyes in it.
Oh, you're right. That's what that is. What it was. Yep.
From the looks of it, our time's limited. So if we can make this horizontal line, it'll be the end of it, and we won't even need to worry about anything else after that.
Yeah. And so,
Jeremy.
You know what I'm saying?
have you got any
Like times.
new thoughts on how we can do that? I know we were talking about it last night, but you know, any updates or any new methods that you think are promising?
I mean, besides the one with the precision engineered, rectangles, or taking a plumb line, we know that line's going to be perfectly straight. If we can transpose that onto something else, or solidify that line in a way to make it, turn it horizontal. I don't know. Anyone has any ideas, please, help us out.
Yeah, I thought that the one was interesting that we discussed last night with the interlocking machine
Yeah.
thing. So let me see if I can find that. But I can basically describe it, see what you guys think about this. I'll just add a slide. Oh no, it's right here. Hold on one second. Come on, I should still be sharing my screen. So bear with me. This is a little difficult to understand.
Can you guys hear this?
You're really low data still.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I'm low. How about wouldn't it be possible to have, I know this sounds silly, but a gyro is already inside a drone. But if you were to have a water level attached to the drone, where it would of the gyro, but work off the water level, and have 2 indicators on the water level, sort of like sort of like they have glass, where if it's banked to the left, the air pressure is greater than the other, therefore it's to balance out. So in the same concept, you use a water level that
Sorry guys, I posted that in the chat there, Brandon, the link.
Do you know what I mean? Like you can basically have the water level by a device fluid, right? Fluid is even horizontal. So I'm just saying, using instead of a mechanical gyro, you use a water level attached.
You're cutting out. You're dropping words for some reason, Data. We'll come back to you, Data, maybe after your mic issues are fixed. But let me just describe what we were thinking last night about drawing the line on a wall, which let's not even talk about how hard it's going to be to find a straight wall that's long enough. These would be like long pieces of steel. So this is like 3 feet by, 2 or 3 inches tall, right? So it's precision. Yeah, precision machined piece of metal. And there's 5 of them here. The red ones are on the bottom against the wall. So this is the wall. These are against the wall next to each other. And these blue ones go over top of them and lock into these ones like via some kind of puzzle piece where they'll only go in one way. So it'll have a hole in this red one, and then it'll have a hole in this other red one. And this will go on top and kind of lock them together like a puzzle. And once they're locked together, it's guaranteed to be absolutely straight, right? And then you'd have 5 of these. So you'd have the 3 red ones on the bottom, then you'd have these 2 blue ones that lock into them. So when you have them connected like that, they're all, you're guaranteed that this is a straight line. So you just, start here, draw your straight line, take this blue one off, take this red one off, go down here and do the same thing, lock it in. That way there's always 3 of them against the wall. So you're never lifting it off of the wall. So there's no opportunity for it to go in any direction but straight once you start. So that was one idea. Any thoughts on that?
Well, realistically, we
With that
have a
many mechanical
Can you guys
devices
hear me now?
involved, any glober
Still-
on Earth.
Still a little low, Data. Go ahead, Jimbo. Start over, Jimbo.
I think with that many devices involved, even with water levels and just trying to do it somewhere above the water, there's so many devices involved. They'd say, oh well, blah blah blah, and no matter what you do, they'll try to discount that at that level. I still say a 7-mile search beam that you could read your newspaper at the far end of the light might do it.
Yeah, but Jimbo, we have tons.
Jimbo,
We have tons of observations of us seeing too far already.
I know. So what's the point of this new one?
What would make the searchlight different?
I don't know. Like I say, instead of a church, the way to go would be a foundation for education in the flat earth. But what do I know?
Okay. Yeah, that's good feedback, Jimbo. Yeah, this would be difficult. Data, you were about to say something. Maybe your mic is fixed now. No?
Okay, so between 2 points, right? We have the technology.
Nah, it's still bad, man. All right. So the other one was, I'll just describe the second idea. It would be using lines, like the metal lines that we've looked at before. And kind of like this one, on the end, these lines would be mounted against kind of a piece of steel or something. And it'd be coming off straight. And this piece of steel on the end of this line, this is one line. This is another line over here attached to this piece of steel. These 2 pieces go together and interlock in such a way they can only lock together. And once they're interlocked, you're guaranteed that these 2 lines are aligned in a straight line. So you just have a bunch of these, and you'd have to mount them obviously somewhere and make sure they're interconnected, pulled tight. Then your line is guaranteed to at least be aligned. I don't know if that would work too well. It's just another idea that we thought of. And then you'd have the one going across the center that would leapfrog them. The problem is there's no line that doesn't have sag that I'm aware of. Of course.
Good. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Can you hear me better? Or?
No, that's much better.
So I was going to say, so they already have like, okay, so you know when you do two plumb bobs and they're, you know, the perpendicular to the horizontal, right? So between point A and point B, you know, you're claiming the Earth is dipping 8 inches. With the technology we have now, just even with a camera, you'd be able to be at the position A plumb bob where it's parallel, or where it's perpendicular to the horizontal, and then a mile away, literally zoom in on the second plumb bob. And if it is on a ball physically, there should be, you know, there should be that slight angle difference, right? If we're on a physical ball. So they already have this anyway. They claim to have these plumb bobs to test the pitch from one datum to another. But the point is, we already have this technology. Again, you guys are trying to complicate things that we already have access to. It's just how you think about that process of the machine that we already have, the technology we already have. We already have these two plumb bob type machines that you can, you know, supposedly detect pitch, right?
So hold on, we're gonna hold on a second. We're gonna set up two plumb bobs 1 mile apart, right?
Sure. Now have a way to have a way. You could do it with mirrors. You could do it with with a mirror and reflecting the mirror back through the camera. If it's going to be tilted at a certain degree, then you could reflect an image onto that mirror at that degree. If it's not going to be tilting at that degree from that distance from point A, it's not going to reflect from the image, right? It's not going to. You're not going to be able to see it.
Hold on, you're saying we should be able to zoom in. Hold on, you're saying we should be able to. We're going to hang two plumb bobs a mile away. Go away.
No, you have one. You have one plumb bob next to the camera, set up side by side, and then you have the camera zoomed into the second plumb bob away, right? And if you have a degree change, you'll be able to label your second plumb bob to measure that degree change from the first one. If it's dipping, if it's curving, it will do it automatic. Well, there's several ways you can do to level your camera. The internal level of the camera is off. You most likely want to use a bubble level, right? Typical bubble level would be fine. Pretty good accuracy if you level it on a good tripod. You can get a good level angle. The point is you can zoom in and level it out and see if you get the reflection of that angle at the second mark, right? You won't. You just won't. So they've already done all this stuff, guys. So you guys are kind of like, I don't know if you're just looking for material for your show, but they measured the Earth with steel.
Oh my
steel
God.
plates already. Well, they've measured this Earth with steel plates already. They've already done it with links and chains. They've done it. That's not the point. The point is that you want to figure out curvature. Well, two plumb bobs on a physical surface, apart from each other on a physical curved surface, there would be an angle difference between them. We all know this, right? We all know this is this common understanding of physical. There's common knowledge on physical geometry that if we have two pendulums apart from each other and it's on a curved surface, the second pendulum away from the first will have a degree change. It's just the way it is.
And how do you measure the degree change, Data?
It's with a mirror, and you have to line it up, right? So if you're going to reflect an image from one mirror to another, you can line that up easily because light travels in straight paths. So if you're going to claim there's a deviation, in the mirror, then you have to go back to all the science who have done the speed of light tests with mirrors in between two spots of distances, right? Whether you go up or whether you go down, the point is if it's a physical ball, the two pendulums will measure a degree change between the two. We know it doesn't. So, and you have the technology to zoom in over a mile to see it.
I'll make an offer, that, it can be refused. If someone competent, responsible, who's done good videos, who knows this shit, flat Earth, wants to do a GoFundMe for the 7-mile searchlight that's $2,500 to buy, I'll throw in $250. It's 10% of the cost.
This is how easy it is for me, guys. I just asked enough pilots.
My money where my
if they fly. I just asked
So-
enough pilots, if you fly over a flat plane, do you account for curvature or Coriolis? The answer is no. The gyro in every, the
I'll
gyro in
just
every,
You just
this is what I
fucking
mean.
ignore
This is what I mean. It's,
There's
Jim,
something wrong
I'll
with my
address
mic.
you.
Can't hear
No,
you
we
guys.
hear you,
It's
Jimbo. I'll
arguing.
address you. I'll
Shut
address
up
you when
again.
he's done. Jimbo, I'll address
it's
you when
arguing
he's
the
done.
same
Just
shit over
let
and
him
over
go.
again. Right? The gyro itself,
I think
the way
someone's
it's
not even
designed,
fucking hearing me. They
It's-
got me on mute
No,
or
we hear
something.
you, Jimbo.
No,
Jimbo, we hear
data's
you.
still
I'll
going,
address you when
Jimbo.
Flat Earth. I'll address you when data's done. Hold on.
well, I don't get to fit. Anyway, we all know that the gyro is independent of Earth curvature. It doesn't think of Earth curvature. The whole purpose of it is to create its own rigidity in 3D space. So it's independent. So we know from 2 points, even the gyro does not tilt, pitch, or arc at any of these 2 points. So not only can you do it with a pendulum, you can do it with a gyro with a mirror and a casing on it. So let's say you had a gyro A and gyro B apart from each other. You put a mirror on one of the casings. Well, it's not going to reflect back a straight path if it's tilted at one point, is it? Right? So it's just really common sense, real easy stuff to do between 2 points. If you're on a ball, there will be an arc. We know there's an arc
Jimbo.
optically, but it's not physically. So 2 gyros with mirrors on them between the 2 points.
Yeah.
All right. Let me just address it. Hold on. Let me tell you,
address
Jimbo. You're gonna get the flashlight. We're gonna go 7 miles away, and we're gonna see that there's no Earth curve between us. That's what you want to do?
You can actually go 14,
1 mile.
25
1 mile.
miles.
You don't have to do 7.
You'll
You don't have to
still-
do that at all.
All right. So right now we have. I mean, there's got to be at least hundreds of observations of us seeing things like this too far. What would make this one different?
This has a beam that you can take a picture of from the side that's straight as an arrow that's 7 miles long and more. It's visible. So claim it's curving and bending.
Yeah. Is there
I
any
think you
laser
see this
test?
creek up to 25 and 30 miles away, shore to shore from the beach.
Yeah, I like what you.
But
just
I'm
said.
willing to
Is there-
put my fucking money where my mouth is.
All
I
right.
won't set it up because then you run away with all the fucking money. If someone wants to put up a GoFundMe, I'll throw 250 fucking bucks in.
All right. That was.
And then
I
other
like what
people
you
can
just said.
donate whatever. But I'm willing to put my fucking money where my mouth is.
All right.
I'll pay
Oh,
for shipping to whoever, has a good location and wants to put it to good fucking use.
All right. I like what you just said about taking a picture on it from the side. Do we have any laser tests where they've done that, and we can put a line up to it and say, "Oh, look, it's not. The laser beam's not curving."
I don't know.
I got
know
a
that
12-mile laser shot.
that was one
no
thing
curve.
that Ranty had talked about doing, but because of COVID and everything else, his issues, I think he wasn't able to actually do it.
So I never understood on those laser tests why they didn't just have somebody off to the side, making a triangle from the end point to the start point and taking a picture of it. That way we could take the picture, put a ruler up to it, and go, look, it's not a curving over Earth curve, guys. It's a
Well,
straight-
what
it's a
about
straight-
this?
These 50-mile
What about-
lasers are like under 20 bucks each. I don't know why there aren't more around.
Yeah.
Oh, there's
There are lots.
giving them to
What about
people and
this?
turn them into flat earthers, for Christ's sake. I don't know.
Guys,
what's
let's not
wrong.
get too excited. Let's not get too excited.
If you have a
We're
six,
just trying
if
to
you have
brainstorm.
if you have a 6 mile lake and you have 2 observers with 2 P900s or P1000s on either side of the lake, and they both zoom into the middle point, and they both see the bottom of the boat being hidden. Is it going up over the curve or down over the curve between that 6 miles between the 2 observers? I don't know why I haven't seen that yet.
Say that one more time.
It could be in
Data.
a valley,
I I missed part of it. Say it one more
You
time.
have you have 2 observers on a 6 mile lake, one staring at each other. They take their 900s and they zoom in. Right? They zoom in on a boat. They both see the boat at that exact 3 mile point in the middle, but it's being hidden by the bottom. So is it going up or down the curve on a 6 mile lake? It's a
Well,
that
6
would
mile
make
lake.
sense.
I can do that on the
We just see
Chesapeake
that-
Bay.
That's what I mean. So the point is you're highlighting the optic, you're highlighting what we see with the optics, because
Yeah.
it's illogical to draw a straight line between the 2 observers, and both of them, and directly in the middle, there's this perfect little hump, right? It doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. It wouldn't work. So if you
Think of it. Hold it. It's not a hump. If both cameramen start walking, they're walking downhill over the curve. That boat is valley.
There you go. I'm just saying, I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen two P900 users
Both people
zoom
are
in
on
between
the
one point.
of their ball. They're on the highest point of their ball. When they walk forward towards each other, they're both walking downhill over a curve.
No,
They should
they're
meet
not.
in a valley.
The
boat
definition
is in a
of
valley between them.
elevation on the globe is the distance to the, I'm going to say, well, mean sea level, which is curved. Therefore, you're
No,
not
it's not,
going up or
my
down.
All right,
friend.
let me
Let me finish.
clarify with you,
Let me
Data.
finish.
So when you're talking about two observers, so they're each 3 miles from this boat that's in the center on the water, right? So
Let's
they're
say
each
let's do
standing on
a
shore.
let's
real
do
quick,
a
is my
4 mile.
mic good?
Let's do a 4 mile lake. Okay, forget about
Is
the
my
6
mic
mile. Let's do
good?
4 mile. Okay, the
Still a
point
little
is
low,
that
Jeremy.
Fuck.
let's say a 4 mile lake. The point is that the boat has to move past the observer's angle. Okay, so if it's on the shore, it's usually around 3 miles. The observer leaves the angle of the boat. Well, if we have a 4 mile lake and two observers zooming in, you're telling me that this weird little curve is like optically it makes sense, but physically as geometrical ball it doesn't make sense.
So what
You
would you
don't
expect to
understand.
see when you do this? So this one's looking at the boat, this one's looking at the boat. It's going to look to both of them like it's.
So one will appear to be going down a curve, and one will be appearing to go up. But it's only a difference. It's only a distance of 4 miles. And so what? There's a 20-foot, 15-foot drop, or let's say 12-foot drop in between those two distances. When we fly over it, it's completely flat and horizontal, equal elevations on both sides. It's optical at this point. So the point is,
globe,
you could
the
explore.
elevations are the same on both sides.
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well,
Am I
you
good
don't
now, Brandon?
understand- Because you
Optically,
don't
it shows.
understand that elevation is
Yeah,
the distance
It's a
from
little
the
better,
center of
Jeremy.
the Earth.
Rumpus,
I'm good, you said?
just because we disagree with your pseudoscience doesn't mean we don't understand. We understand
No, you don't.
everything. Yes, we
No,
do,
you don't.
Rumpus.
Flat Earth data doesn't
Rumpus.
understand that on the globe model, elevation
Okay, great.
There's a simple way of doing it. It's from the center of the
Stop.
Earth.
Does Rumpus understand?
We've got
Does Rumpus
several
understand
people claiming
optics?
You're going
Can I
up
ask
and
Rumpus a question,
downhill.
guys?
We've got
Guys,
several
Rumpus-
people
guys.
claiming you're
Brandon,
going
okay.
uphill and downhill, which
Brandon,
means
let
they
me get a minute with
don't
Rumpus.
understand the globe
Brandon, let me get a minute
model.
with Rumpus.
All right,
Because
all right.
they're saying
all right,
they're going
Rumpus, shut
uphill
the fuck up.
and
We heard what you said.
downhill,
Okay,
they don't understand the globe model.
Okay. Now,
No, how
you get a
Jeremy
minute
has a
with Rumpus
question
here.
for you, Rumpus. Shut the
Okay,
hell
so-
up. Go ahead,
Before
Jeremy.
he does that, make a quick statement. We've got several people claiming you're going uphill and downhill as you approach one another. That means they don't understand the globe model. Go ahead, Jeremy.
All right, thanks. Rumpus, if somebody asked you if you had any ideas on how to make a tangible horizontal line over, say, I don't know, a mile, would you have any ideas on that?
It's a bastard job. That is a really, really, really tricky
I
thing
understand.
to do.
I understand, but
Really,
would you have?
you can't use lasers. You can't join things together, because if you want to avoid something perfectly straight, in other words, straighter than the curvature of the Earth, you need to join things. Let's suppose you decide to make a railway line, and you wanted to join the bits, the line, the individual, say, 10-meter line. Bits together, whatever they're called, girders or whatever, the individual rails. So you have to join them with an accuracy to within a few atoms. The accuracy required to get a perfectly straight line over a mile and that's better than the curvature of the Earth, is unbelievably difficult. In fact, to the point of being impossible until.
How long are you going to let this bullshit go on?
So you can't make one. Do you have any ideas on how you could do it, or do you want to tell us how we
No,
can
hold on.
do it?
LIGO did this. LIGO did this to some degree, but they used a high-resolution GPS. But presumably you think GPS is some sort of fraud because it's a global positioning system, so that takes into account Earth curvature.
Listen again, Rumpus. You're full of it again. You're full of it again. It's all good.
Be quiet, moron. If you don't want to use GPS, so you could use GPS to do it, but I've no doubt you think that's a part of a conspiracy. If you don't want to use GPS and you want to use some practical rails or lines, it's almost impossible. You could do it sort of using surveying techniques, but then again, that relies on taking into account refraction, so it's problematic. It's really, really, really difficult, Jeremy.
Let me ask you
Okay, I
one
have
more
a question.
Ooh, scary. Make a straight
Go ahead.
line. Real
Go ahead.
difficult. Ooh.
You don't
One
understand the engineering because you're a
Okay,
moron.
atomic
shush.
You
level.
are a moron,
Ooh.
Jimbo. You
Oh my
don't
God, Jimbo.
understand the
Ooh,
Try to
engineering
keep
issues
it
because you
productive.
are a
Please
moron.
don't go off.
You have to
Go ahead,
correct
Travis. Please ask your question.
All right, I apologize if I break up at all, but Rumpus, if you would just allow me a couple of minutes, maybe.
Okay.
Okay. From our perspective, from my perspective, the way that we operate and live on a micro level here on Earth has to be undone on the globe model. That is, the way that we understand up and down, over and under, across, doesn't exist in your world. So, if I were to use a basketball to represent and model out what we're talking about, we are at the top. We are at the top of the of the basketball because there is no up and please listen. There is no up or down in space, correct?
There is when you're on the Earth.
Okay, that's the
But
micro.
not in space.
That's
But
hold
not in
on,
space.
hold on.
No, you're correct.
Okay,
Not in space, but on the Earth there obviously is because that's towards the center of the Earth. Yeah.
Okay, but those people in Australia are not upside down. They're on
Correct.
top of the ball. They're on top.
No one's on top. There's no top.
Okay,
That's no top on the board. That's like hold on, Travis. What's the top of a basketball?
I wasn't finished with my 2
What's
minutes.
the top of a basketball? Then you might be able to understand the problem.
90 degrees. So you only have a 90-degree angle vertical on a basketball straight up and down. So if I had a basketball that had the globe on it, Australia would be at a very severe obtuse angle from the North Pole. Correct?
I didn't understand that at all.
Okay.
It was gibberish as far as I could see.
No, it wasn't gibberish. Listen very carefully. If I have a basketball that has the globe on it, right? All of the continents in the ocean.
Globe. So just a globe. So you've got a globe. Why bother with the basketball? Just say a globe.
Okay, whatever. Okay. North America is toward the top.
There's no top.
Okay. Yes, there is.
No, there isn't.
Rumpus, can you stop being pedantic and just listen to his fucking question, please?
It's a fundamental lack of understanding of what you think there's a top.
I'm going to kick you off here. You're not being constructive.
Just
listen to the goddamn question, please.
Okay, I'm done. I'm done. No, I'm done.
Okay, let me just explain this idea of a top. There is no top.
We don't need to explain. We don't need the top. That there's no top explained. We're well aware of that. He was trying to ask you a question, and you can't shut the fuck up.
Travis isn't aware. He was talking about a top.
For long enough to hear the question,
he thinks
because
there is a top.
It itches you. It itches your brain. You itch, scratch. I can't take it. I can't take it.
Your stupidity itches my brain, perhaps. There's only 2 points on a rotating globe. That's the axis that runs through.
Bye, Rumpus. Okay. So Data, back to my question. I was hoping we'd actually get something valuable out of him. I don't know why I expect that.
I gave it a shot.
There is a God moment when you pop them off.
I tried.
The point of the observation is to highlight the fact that it's an optical effect between two positions. The ideal point would be to have a third camera in the sky filming two of the cameras below, showing you that it's a straight path between them, but the optics of the camera is causing the refraction. The angle of the bottom of the boat is all to do with the angles, and you can see between the two observers that nothing's obstructing it, is the point from the third elevation, but the two observers focused in on the boat will show you there's an obstruction, clarifying that it's based on optics. That's the whole point of the observation, is to clarify over a 4-mile distance between two observer points, zooming in the middle point, showing that the boat is disappearing from both angles, but then the top view showing that it's a complete straight line pathway between them both of them. That's the whole point of the exercise.
Hold on, are you saying we have a straight line?
So listen. So the third camera is going to be above, high enough to see two of the observers. You can see the line of sight between both observers. The line of sight proves that it's a straight path because there's no obstruction between the two observers.
All right.
Bird's eye view. So when
Okay, we got it. Let me ask a question real quick.
Yeah.
Let me ask a question real quick. You're saying we have a straight line. 6
The
miles.
third camera.
There's a
no, 4
person-
miles. Let's do
Hold on a
4
second.
miles. Let's do 4 miles. Okay, 4 miles are
Okay,
better. 4
fine.
mile
We have a
lake.
straight. We have a straight line.
We have a 4 mile
There's a
lake
person-
between two
Bro.
observers. We don't have a straight line. What are you talking about? We have a straight line. The straight line is the third camera is observing.
Just say
the
line of
pathway-
sight.
There you go, line of sight. Two observers from the third camera are noticed to have line of sight between them. Because we can see a straight path between them. There's no curve hump, any obstruction between the two observers. The two observers, however, are noticing some type of obstruction because it has everything to do with optics and the
Okay.
angle from the observer on the
All right.
ground. Right?
Yeah, so I can do this on the Chesapeake Bay very easily. You guys have
You
seen.
need, yes, you
I
can,
know,
but
but
you need
listen.
two. Yeah, sorry.
I know. I've got Adam Bombaclat got to a fish. He's got his P900. All I need to do is hire a boat, get somebody who's got nothing to do, go out and take a drone with them, send that drone up right when they get to the midway point. They got that camera angle right there in the middle, and have that drone do a 180.
Does Lee Templar live in the same country as you, Travis? Isn't she American?
I don't know. It's a big country.
She's been
I don't-
talking. Yeah, she's been talking a lot about wanting to take her boat, like out, go somewhere with it. So she might be interested in helping in some kind of observation or whatever.
And the best part about the observation, Travis, is between the 2 points, you can actually highlight the angle change based on your elevation between the 2 points. Meanwhile, the drone above notices a complete line of sight between two observers. Right, the 4 mile distance, you get some good elevation. You're not going to be, it's not going to be detailed because when I have my drone out flying it, you're going to look like a little peon, right? So it's the point is that you can see from optics that between the two paths there's a straight line, but with the two observers on the ground, it will appear as if their angles are being cut off, and that has everything to do with the camera that you're using and the position of the ground you're on and the angle to the object.
I don't understand what the camera above looking down is going to tell you, because theoretically we'd see
It'll
these
show a
three
straight
little
path.
dots down on the ground spread out.
I
Yeah.
understand.
It'll show a straight path, though. It'll show a straight path between the observers, right? But not only that,
Brandon,
it'll actually show
Brandon, I'm
the
DMing you
lake
a
is
picture.
flat.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
sorry, I couldn't hear that. So
All right, Brandon.
it's going to look the
And I'm
same.
DMing
I
you a
would
picture
expect that
real
it
quick.
would
It's
look
taking a
the
second to load up.
same from the top on each model. I wouldn't expect it to look different because of how slight the angle is supposed to be on the supposed globe model. But what do you think you'd see from the top if the Earth was a ball? What do you think you'd see, Data?
Check your DMs real quick.
Here's the thing: the Earth isn't a ball, and I'm not looking at a ball. I'm
I
looking at a
understand his
flat
point.
plane.
I understand his point here.
I'm
Can you
looking at a
check-
flat plane that's been hijacked as a ball, so I'm not expecting the ball to do anything. What I notice is a flat plane. What I'm being told,
Brandon,
what I
check
see,
your
isn't
check
a
your
flat
DMs
plane.
real quick, please.
That's the difference.
Hold
What I'm
Hold on,
noticing,
guys. Chill. Hold on.
what I observe is a flat extended plane.
I'm
I
trying
don't
to see
observe a
if I
ball
can-
at any point.
Just stop talking for 2 minutes, please.
That's what I've got in the diagram, Jeremy.
Check. All right. You have a diagram of this up?
Yeah, I made a diagram. That's what I've been looking at. Do you guys see it in Discord?
And then we're gonna get up. My bad, I wasn't looking.
Oh,
and
sorry.
then we're gonna get up high with a drone and see that we can draw a straight line from both people through the boat, and there's no
And the best
obstruction.
part about it, and the best part
Is that
about
what
it
you're
is,
saying? Is that what
absolutely,
you're
the best-
saying?
Yes, and absolutely, you can go to Google Earth and look at the elevation data and confirm between 2 points of elevation, there is no dip or drop. It's an extended lake, right? And so what you're doing is using optics, and you can test the angles. You could be at 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, 5 feet, all the way 6 feet, and you'll notice what happens with the camera when you zoom in. You deal with the compression angle. The foreshortening compression, which is the waves being compressed upward and then being bunched together, which is distorted itself. That can hide the bottom of things as well. So the point is to see that it's an optical effect, has nothing to do with curvature, and that is displayed by showing the direct line of path by the bird's eye view
But
Right.
Data, this is
That's
my
the
problem.
evidence.
If I'm on a flat plane, this is what I'm going to see. This is the top of this guy's head. This is the top of this guy's head, and here's the boat. Right. This is my.
You're not seeing any top of the head.
Down.
It's 4 miles away. So ideally, it's at the maximum 6 feet, 3 mile away. When you have a camera, you can see a little farther above that the horizon line, if you will. But at the end of the day, it's going to show you that it's flat in the third bird eye view. It will just show you it's an extended plane.
Am I
So
looking
it's an extended
directly?
plane.
I'm just trying to clarify. Hold on. Am I looking directly down on the boat? Like, am I in line with these guys, or am I offset?
So here's the deal: is that depending on the technology and how high we can go with the drone, you're going to be limited on what kind of downward bird view you're going to get. Right? You're going to be limited on that. So if we could go really, really high and get the full, 4 mile radius, or is it be 2.2 mile radius, the 4 mile diameter, if we can go high enough to see that 4 mile diameter, it would be obvious at this point there's no dip or drop or curve because you're looking directly down on it. And meanwhile, the observer on the ground is seeing an apparent junction. Like it would be game over if you did it that way. But the problem is that they put restrictions on the drones now where you can only go 400 meters. You used to be able to go 1,500 meters before, and now it's 400 meters. So it's like you're limited to that. But the point is if you did have a third drone and that you would elevate high enough, you would see between the observer 1 and 4 miles away, it's a straight path. And then Google Earth would confirm that data as well, showing you that the elevation data is a straight horizontal plane.
I get
right?
it.
The
Can
water
I
would show you
ask
that.
you a couple of questions about what you would expect to see? So if you are looking down, so here's the bird's eye view from up top. I'm looking directly down. My camera's positioned directly over the boat, and I'm looking down, and I can see all three things, and they're all in a line, right? My camera's right here. Let's just say 400 meters up, and I can see all of it. Now, what am I going to see on if the Earth's
you
a
won't
globe?
see all of it. You won't see all of that. I filmed a 3 mile lake, and 400 meters, you don't get even the whole lake in there. So you have to go higher than 400 meters to get the whole 4 mile lake.
Okay.
The best which you can do is at least elevate above the one geometric position and then fly towards the other guy, also indicating through the flight path, it's a straight path across. So not only do you have Google Earth showing you that it's a straight path from A to B across the lake, the drone's flight path will show you that's horizontal from A to B. The height and elevation will show you the line of sight is a straight path. The only time you get curvature is when you're messing around with the angles on the ground with optics. That's it.
I get it. So what am I going to see? What is going to be my visual cue if the Earth's a globe when I'm up here and I'm looking down on it? What do you expect to see?
So here's the thing. I don't expect to see a globe because in the math, it's a geometrical ball, but we don't see geometrical ball. We have optics. There's no reason to ever suspect a ball because it's not based, the ball math or the ball measurements is not based on a physical ball. It's based on optics. So why would I then proceed to think of a ball when I know it's based on optics?
Okay, so this isn't designed to differentiate between the two models. It's not meant to falsify one. It's just an observation. Is that what you're saying?
Well, here's the thing. How does the ball model distinguish between the ball of the Earth versus a wave or an angle elevation blocking the bottom of the boat? There's no way in their argument or understanding of the ball to falsify the difference between Earth curve and a wave.
Right.
As far as hiding bottom, there's no way to falsify it. So how do they distinguish the difference? The answer I got so far was, well, it's a calm day. That's it. So they have no way to falsify the difference between Earth curve and a wave.
Well,
but they just claim it. They just claim it's Earth curve.
No,
yeah.
I get
There's no
that.
way to distinguish. There's no way to distinguish what's blocking the bottom of the boat. Okay, they just conflate it as Earth curve.
I understand that. I was just trying to understand in what you're describing here. If you were to do this, if it would falsify anything. It doesn't sound like it would. It'd be a neat observation to see, but it doesn't sound like there's any falsification that would take place.
Well, of course it would be. This would be the thing. Is it a physical Earth curve or is it optics? The whole experiment would be to highlight its optics.
But what would tell me from this camera view up here that it's just optics? What would tell me that?
Okay, so logically, you want to tell your brain that a 6-foot observer can watch a boat go 3 miles away over the edge of the ball. That's what you're saying. Then that makes sense to you?
No, I'm asking you if.
That's what you have. That's what you have. That's what you'd have to say. You'd have to say, in my mind, I'm not going to use optics at all. Everything that's moving away from me is going over a ball. You have to make that decision. You can't have things move away from you based on optics and then claim it's moving away from you on a ball. It's one or the other.
Yeah. So how does this experiment or this observation help you distinguish and falsify one or the other?
Well, first of all, if they're claiming the Earth's curving at 1.2245 miles the square root of the observer's height is 1.2244 miles, whatever. If you're having something that doesn't measure that geometric mass, then you don't have a geometrical ball. So it would be another way to falsify the geometrics, the physical geometric measurement of the ball.
I would say that you would also have to have multiple observations because they're going to cry out refraction on one observation.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. It's only 4 miles. So what they're claiming to do at the last mile of the lake for the first observer, that boat has to disappear for however tall that boat is. So if it's a 16-foot boat, right? It's supposed to disappear. What is it? 4 times 4 times 4. So 8 feet, 6, 7, 8 feet.
I know,
right?
But listen, I know, but if you see the entire, which I believe, they're going to say that's. So you have to do this on observation in condition to show that in a condition where you have all of the variables, you have all the meteor information, and it's not the conditions for living and we think that you have to have that much detail covered. You can't just one and done.
Here's the thing, though. What I think maybe is lost in translation is the reason why I'm choosing 4 miles instead of 6. The 4 miles is because the boat will be passing into curvature at 2.5 miles for one observer, but the other observer, it's coming down over curvature, but then the third drone sees a straight pathway between the both of them. It would be a paradox is what I would be presenting. Okay, up to that point, you'd have to clarify what's causing the paradox. The optics or physical Earth curve, right? So I'm creating a paradox by the experiment. In other words, if they're claiming Earth curve is as little as 4 miles away from the observer, and you're not equating optics, you're just conflating it as a ball, and everything moving away from you is going down over the ball, well then it would clearly show there is nothing going over a ball, and it has everything to do with your angle to the boat from where you're positioned, because you could see the optical change from 1 foot to 6 feet. And you could do the same from both observers while the boat's 2 miles away, right? Right in between. Meanwhile, it's not dipping, dropping, curving nowhere. It's actually line of sight flat, like the drone suggests, like the elevation data suggests, like your observations suggest. So creating a paradox is what I'm probably trying to do to falsify the ball, is basically you can't have it both ways.
Right. That's what I'm trying to get at is where does the paradox come in? Like, what is actually the result of this that I'm looking for that falsifies one or the other ones? Like, do I see?
Well, is it a ball or is it optics? It's really that one or the other.
And how do I know which one it is? That's what I'm saying. How do I know which one it is based on this footage?
Well, because we're using optics to control the observation, right? If we're using optics to control the observation, then if it's a physical ball, it would be observable. You would see it.
Oh, you
it wouldn't
think you
be
would
relative
see the
based on
curvature?
optics.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, if they're claiming that if they're claiming it's dropping 8 inches per mile squared, yeah. I did this already by doing a scaled down model of real life, taking the mathematical dimensions of 3,959 scaling to 1/100,000, which ends up to be 260 feet, and then dropping that over a 6-foot distance, and you got about a 2.4 centimeter drop. Now that's just physical geometry and reducing the scale to 1/100,000. You can take that to any reality and apply it in real life and it won't. There's no dip or no drop. Like there's just nothing. Like you can see objects way, way farther than that mathematic describes. So when the mathematics doesn't match observation, the mathematics are wrong. That's why they need other arguments, because they know the math is wrong.
Yeah.
But refraction isn't going to explain a mountain that is entirely visible for 120 miles from the observer's standpoint when it should be hidden by 10,000 feet.
No, we get it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think we're on the same
so
page,
these are the
Data, but here's what I'm getting at. Just try one more time. Like this straight line thing, if we were to be able to create a straight line in space, if the middle is 3 feet off the ground, I know that on a flat plane, that each end is going to be 3 feet off the ground. And that on a, if the Earth were a giant ball, that the ends would be, 9 feet off the ground, right? If it was 6 miles long, 3 miles in each direction. And I could just measure that and go, okay, it's 3 feet. Earth's not a globe. What is it in this footage from this drone that's gone up above that I can point to and I can go, okay, see that? We
So
measure this, and
the
that means that this is falsified.
Well, the empirical data would suggest in the flight path itself, from point A to point B, would travel in a straight path. Not only would that empirical data that's observed be repeatable, but the data would match Google Earth as well, like I said. So you would have plenty of empirical data to create a paradox, asking the question, how is it possible for a physical ball Earth to create such an obstruction at such tiny distances for such tiny people on such a massive Earth without adding in the understanding that optics is influencing your vision?
Yeah. No, I get it.
Instead of the...
All right, appreciate it.
I mean,
speaking as which is both being the enemy of the state, the correlation I find is that a lot of flat earthers tend to be on the right side, and a lot of non-flat earthers tend to be on the left side. I wonder if that's a correlation to what's happening in politics, what's happening in television and media, and the reason why the divide has to be so big.
Yeah. All right.
I like what you said.
Go ahead,
Sorry,
Jeremy.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, it was a neat idea. You know, have the two observers see the ship sink and then have a drone or something high up and then draw a straight line from observer to observer with the ship in the middle, seeing that there actually is line of sight.
Creating a paradox, you got it. So what's causing it now? Now it has an argument because the top image says there's no curve. It's line of sight straight. So what's causing? And if you did it at different, like I said, if you had two observers at 1 foot, two observers at 2, and you took the data, and you could see, and if that guy out there drinking the beer, even if you went on the y-axis versus the x-axis and did alternate things, you would notice, well, first of all, if I travel the y-axis, there's a considerable amount of a dip at 2 miles or 2.5 miles at 2 feet off the ground. But yet there's no y dip. Why isn't there any y dip?
It's definitely something for us to think about. Yeah.
How can I get any y dip? And from the bird's eye view, you have both axes going. You have the him go on the y-axis. You have him go on the x-axis.
We got it, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So it's pretty, but it's already been done. It's the sad part. There's tons of evidence already there that's been done with it. I have never seen anybody do the two P900 shooting each other. That would be great to see.
That would be very interesting to see somebody do that and to hone in on the
Well,
same boat.
I have it. I have it.
Oh, you've done it already, Travis?
Well, not this exact
Oh, yeah,
thing, but
yeah,
Adam and I,
yeah, with the lighthouse and yeah.
Well, yeah, but so we had a sailboat that came between us. So the thing that was crazy about it is that we did it in the early morning till about 11 o'clock. So I would have to say we should wait until noon at least to get an even distribution of the light. But you know, I was shooting straight across over at Adam, and Derek was there on the shore. You could not see the shoreline. You could see the flagpole that was on the promenade, which is just 10 feet elevation. And I've got Derek flashing a mirror, and he's standing on the shore. So he's, you know, almost 6 foot high at his head with the mirror flashing me, and I've captured it. The only problem is you can't see them. You know, so that's what I'm saying. To get these conditions where you're going to be able to shoot across, you're going to have to be doing this over and over again to get those conditions.
Right.
It definitely will take some work to find the right conditions, but I think that if you did do it, it's something that nobody's done. And if you kept it simple, like 4 Mile Lake would be better, I think. For this effect, you could clearly see that it would be absurd to have physical curves at such short distance between two observers. 6 Mile is just lending to more refraction, more of a dirtier image, let's say, due to atmospheric conditions. So if you just did it at the maximum peak of resolution for the human eye, and then used optics to aid into the observation, it would be very clearly, easily presented a paradoxical situation where you could falsify the ball Earth as being not physical, but an optical conflation.
Yeah, I just don't see. I think it'd be a really cool observation. I just don't see how you could point to it and it'd be a definitive falsification.
I'll tell you again why, Brandon. It's because we have the empiricism. What empiricism do we have? We have the flight path of the drone matching the Google Earth data, which is the elevation data. Both of them match our observation. So at any point, can you please interject what observation would conclude that it is a ball when all the empirical data says it isn't?
Well, okay, so let me just see if I understand what you mean by the empirical data from the drone. So the drone is going to, I take it, go up from one observer, go across, take the picture, and go over to the other observer, and it would collect its altitude data from that trip and its coordinates. I'm guessing. What?
So you have flight paths. So basically, in any drone you have right now, like I have a Mac Mini, I can plan out my flight path on height, elevation, distance. It travels in straight paths. It's the shortest distance between 2 points in 3D space.
Yeah.
There's no dip, no drop, no nothing. It's a straight line. Yeah, sure. It's programmed to be at that elevation, depending whether it's depending what setting I have on it. Usually, when you have these pre-programmed settings, it's a feature that locks on the GPS and uses the technology that's provided for you. For coordinating. Mapping out the Earth, but to get the photogrammetry, to get the images, it would be very. It's not observed anyway in natural reality of the drone flying, other than a straight path parallel to the Earth's surface. That's why when you do photogrammetry, you've got nice straight flat pieces that blend together beautifully, and you got a 3D image. That's just the empiricism that's observed. The argument whether its GPS is proof of a ball and therefore the drone's a ball proof, that's neither here nor there. The empiricism says that it flies over a level plane and it takes photographs as such. So I'm not implying anything other than what I'm observing. Everything else is an afterthought. The empirical data says that it's a level plane from point to point.
Well, I agree with you on that. I think all the firsthand empirical data that we can gather tells us that we're on a level plane.
So why does water act any different? It doesn't. In my flat Earth hypothesis, I'm not trying to hypothesize the cause of why water lays flat. I'm using that dependable constant as part of my hypothesis to conclude that at any various scales, water doesn't change its physics based on what we think about it.
Yeah,
it remains to be a constant physical property taking the shape of containment in various scales and sizes. So you want to have a hypothesis of what causes it to go level. I just know that it's reactive to fluid pressure or atmospheric pressure. But anyway, that's a side note. So the thing is that empiricism, it shows that it lays flat, horizontal. The first ruler was made from water. So, all the empiricism says water lays flat, takes shape of containment, ends up being horizontal, equal elevation from point to point. The drone matches that. The observation of the flight path matches that. When we do the optics from a camera, we can create a paradox. In other words, it'll look like a flat plane from between two observers. But when you get lower enough to the ground, the angle gets cut off. It creates an edge because of optics, not because of Earth ball. And you should be able to notice that. And you should be able to see it.
I'm just curious, when did they do that with the ruler?
Oh, this is thousands of years ago, dude. They used to, when they built the Egypt pyramids, they to build the base, they would use
Yeah.
water, and the ruler, from what I understand, it comes from the water. Now, I read this a long time ago. I could be wrong with that, but it comes from Egyptian leveling with water, and then the first ruler was from
Yeah,
water.
I knew that. I knew
So-
that about the pyramid. Yeah, they used the pyramid to make sure the water to make sure the base was flat. Is what the story is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's where I got the story from. The ruler of water was from the Egyptians. I could be wrong.
No, I was just wondering.
Okay, that's interesting stuff. Let me see who else has joined the show. Oh shoot, your name is slipping me. Pound sign.
Hashtag.
It's Grim.
Grim. That's right. Hey, Grim, what's going on, man? Sorry about that.
Hey, just popped in to say hello.
Oh,
Or
that's
listen
cool.
anyway.
How's it going tonight?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Good, man. You missed it. We were talking about a notice that we got, or that somebody got, about us being dangerous. You should be able to see it. Dangerous individuals and organizations is how they're classifying even flat Earth discussion groups now. Thought you might find that interesting.
Yeah, I find it appalling, actually, that anybody can start labeling things like open and free discussions and
We're on our way to-
questions and stuff like that as dangerous. This really, I mean, we've all seen the movie Idiocracy, and it's like those dangerous question askers. What do you sound like? You talk like a nerd. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden, I don't understand. Yeah, go
We're
ahead,
on our
man.
way to George Orwell's 1984 soon. That's what's going on
Oh,
right
yeah.
here.
Sure.
Weaponizing feelings, right? This is what they're doing. They're going to weaponize feelings. A lot of cops now, because of the COVID thing, are now exercising, breaking the Constitution's Bill of Rights here by arresting people for undue happiness. And they're getting away with it. So if you can be arrested for undue,
there needs to be some precedent set here.
if you're going to be arrested,
pants off of somebody for this.
well, that's what I mean. That's what's happening now, is that a lot of these officers here in Canada are being put on notice. In other words, they were put on notice that they'll have to testify in a court of law against their own superior, their own corporation personally, if they proceed, like in Canada here, if they proceed with an arrest, that's under the Quarantine Act, when it violates the Constitution, that officer can be held in court and fined up to $35,000 for not upholding the oath. But
Seems
what's
like
happening
it's
here?
not- It's more like a treasonous thing because now he's actually going against what the
Well-
country wants, not just
Well, here's the That's right. The Constitution says once the government no longer upholds the law, they become an invalid government, or enforces unjust laws. Sorry, when some government enforces unjust laws, the government becomes invalid. That's under the Constitution of the United States. I don't know about the Constitution of Canada, but I think it's the same, relatively the same thing.
Christian
I
Bale,
think we're past that.
one of his less.
You were past that. You were past that when Article 47 was signed by your president in the early 40s or 50s by the United Nations. Article 47 gives precedent to the United Nations to come in and take over your country for Emergency International War Act or war law or something like that. Article 47 is terrible.
Grim, your mic's a little low, but anyway, thanks for joining the show, man. Let me say hello to the other people. Chad, what's up, Chad?
What's going on?
What's up,
How you
man?
doing?
Good. How are you? And Paige joined us. What's up, Paige?
Hey, nothing much.
Cool. And Rakia Life. What's up, Rakia? He's probably busy. So that's cool.
Hey, Brandon, who was calling us a threat, just out of curiosity? Who was claiming us that we're being
help him to get a word in? I guess my mic just doesn't work at all ever, right?
Jimbo, it's all good. Don't be a princess
You're
about
very
it.
low, Jimbo, too.
Yeah, you are a little
but
low
I-
right now.
It's
Jim.
working now, though, Jimbo. I mean, just now.
But I was going to mention a film by Christian Bale, or with Christian Bale. It's a little lesser known, called Equilibrium, where feeling emotions is outlawed outright.
That's a good fucking movie
Yeah, it
right
is.
there. I love that movie.
Crazy.
And it's about one of these policing agents that, well, winds up off of equilibrium and seeing reality and stuff. It's an excellent movie. And it's related to, like, the here and now. supposed to be science fiction, futuristic, but
Well, question for you, gentlemen. How do you replace materialism? If you've raised society for the last 60 years in atheistic, nihilistic materialism, and you need to change them, how are you going to do it?
Change them which way, maybe?
Well, what they're
You
doing
don't-
to
you
us
don't change
now,
them.
what they're doing to
You
us
don't change
now
them,
is
you let them change themselves, right? You don't try to
well, what they're doing to us though is
make
a
them do
moral.
something.
Yeah, but what they're doing to us is a moral, social moral virtue, right? How could you not wear a mask because of old people? How could you not criticize a child that has Asperger's, whatever? This is all about the social engineering of compliance and dumbing you down, right? We all know that. But when you have no economy and you've raised a whole generation on nihilism and materialism, the only next thing you have is to weaponize the flu, weaponize disease, and weaponize freedom of thought, because that's the next economy. You can jail people on freedom of thought or on crime thoughts, right? That's the whole point. You can create economy ahead of our health system, right? Get rid of materialism. It has to be replaced with something.
I don't
They
even
did
see that as
here
a
in
replacement.
Australia. Arrested a pregnant lady for incitement because she reposted like the time and day of a protest for the mask wearing mandates and shit. Pregnant lady, young girl, and yeah, arrested her.
Do you watch Avi Mini at
and then
all?
We keep letting them.
Sorry?
We keep letting them.
Do you watch
arrest them.
Avi Mini at all? He's a reporter down in Australia. Avi Mini? In
No,
Rebel
I
News?
don't think so.
He's awesome, dude. He goes down there, goes right into them.
I'll have a look.
So it's Avi Yemeni.
Avi Yemeni, sorry. But did I say Avi Mini? Avi Yemeni. Yeah, he's a Rebel News reporter out of Australia.
Can you stick a link in the general or something for us, please?
Just type in Rebel News Avi, AVI, and it will come up,
Yeah,
and you'll
I'm
see.
on my phone. It doesn't like
we
me
got Rebel News for
opening any other screens.
They really are good. They get into it.
When you
Yeah,
say
you'll see. He's well known in Australia now. He's been doing a lot for the lockdowns, a lot for the.
Cool.
I'm just lazy, Paige. Don't make me work.
No.
So what's new in Paige's world? What's going on out there?
Oh, gold. I'm just trying to stay as far away from the nonsense as I possibly can. It seems to be getting a little bit better here now. Travel and those kinds of restrictions are being eased, and there are a hell of a lot more people not wearing masks and stuff. But yeah, I don't have time for that nonsense. I'm just trying to keep away from it.
That's good. Yeah, our governor here in Michigan just laid down the hammer again and said that there no sports can be played. So the kids in school can't wrestle or play basketball or football or anything like that. Yep.
Oh, see this breaks my heart. Like kids growing up, you think about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds. That's
9,
when
10,
their
11,
brain
12,
these
13, 14,
connections are
15-year-olds.
forming. They're not even able to see people's expressions and stuff to learn, how to communicate, body language and micro expression, that kind of thing. Can you imagine what that generation is going to be like in 20 years?
Oh, it's a shame. It really is.
It's heartbreaking.
I don't know if they're doing this down there in Australia, but here they're, they're teaching this critical race theory about how white people are all essentially guilty of something. And I don't want to get too much into race, but that's one thing they have to put up with. And then all this gender stuff. I mean, they live in a whole different world than I remember when I was a kid. That's for sure. And I know every generation says that, but it's really strange what they have to deal with.
Yeah, my youngest starts high school this year, so I'll
Well, first of all, they're creating
probably see a lot
racism.
of things. Yeah, they create it.
They have to, because look at it. We have famous black people. We have famous football stars. We have famous actors. And then now everything is going good. Economic prosperity. Everybody's becoming independent of the banks because they're making money. They don't have to borrow. Oh, wait a second. We can't let this happen. We have to create racism. We'll get all the white people that have all this money to feel guilty about themselves because they worked hard and they have all this excess. While meanwhile, we're going to pump the algorithm to their phone where there's starving children, there's war. We're going to make them feel guilty over the climate. We're going to do all these attacks psychologically to the white people because they worked hard, they put away their money, they saved and got an education. We're going to make them feel guilty for that. Meanwhile, I'm a billionaire rich person. I'm bored as fuck with all my money. I could go into these foreign countries and actually make their lives better, but now I'm going to destroy the Western civilization because that's fucking funner. Fuck you.
Yep, pretty much.
Hmm.
Even if, really atrocious things happened, back whenever, 100, 200, 400 years ago, whatever, how is that any of our fault now? Even if you're black or white or Chinese or whatever.
Well, Paige, here's how it works out. Here's how it works out good in our favor. Do you guys know who Bill Gates' great-great-grandfather is?
Was he the eugenicist? Yeah, the one that started.
His dad was.
Great-great-great-great-great-grandfather.
Oh, they probably all were. Yeah, he'll be doing something like that.
No, a black guy.
No. You'll be surprised how many of these people are associated to kings and queens that have taken over the reign from
John
these.
Lackland Plantagenet.
No, I'm actually, I forgot his name. I'm going to Google it now, but it's something terrible. Something the terrible. That's his great-great-grandfather.
Ivan the Terrible?
I don't know. I'll have to look it up,
Ivan
man.
the Boneless?
It's like Prince Charles saying Vlad the Dracula guy was his ancestor. They're proud of it. Vlad the Impaler, that was it. Yeah, they're proud of it. The more evil their ancestors have been, the more proud they are of it.
Did you get the name of his great-grandfather? Yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? According to Albert Pike, I don't know if you should do this on your show, Brandon, is bring up Morals and Dogma and go through it. It's a pretty interesting read.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It tells you a lot about the Masons, tells you about the secret cults and sun worship, and it tells you about the plan between the Muslim and the Jew to fight the end of the war, and they're going to use the Goyim as the middleman. So they can use the Goyim to fight against the Jew and use the Goyim to fight against the Muslim, but here it is the Jew and the Muslim fighting using the Goyim to do all that. That's what I got out of Albert Pike's book. I could be wrong in the translation. I read it partially. Didn't read the whole thing, and it was a while back that I read it. So I could be wrong, but that's what I got out of it. If anybody wants to correct me, but it's a good book. You should go through it on your show.
Oh, Morals and Dogma. Isn't the guy who wrote that he was a Freemason, right?
Albert Pike, yep. Here's the thing. There is a guy named Myron Fagan, I think. He does a speech about the United Nations, about Thomas Jefferson being the first Illuminati member, the leader of the creator of the Democratic Party. Thomas Jefferson was an Illuminati agent. And his name is Myron Fagan, Fagan. I think that's his name, or Myron? I think it is. I have to look it up. Yeah, Myron Fagan. That's what it is. Fagan, yeah. Fagan. Yeah. So he talks about Article 47, United Nations, what the politicians did, but he also shows you that the CFR, he doesn't show you. He talks about it, and he names people that you can actually go fact check and go read and the debate. This is what I'm starting to realize. I don't know how many here have realized it. They hid nothing. The elites hid nothing. They showed you everything they're going to do.
Anything.
Nothing.
Yeah.
No, they show you everything.
This may not sound important, but again, moral conduct expressed through words. Now, some people say it's written that thou shalt not kill. And others say thou shalt not commit murder. Now, if you kill beasts, you kill animals, chickens, etc. To commit murder is to kill a man, another man or woman.
I think it's premeditated is the intention here. It's the premeditation.
Themselves as a man, if they are human and beasts of the field, then Where's your moral line?
Well, I think premeditated murder is different from an accidental murder. I think that's why the Bible set up.
That's not what I'm
that-
saying. Is it
that's
thou
what
shalt not kill, or is it thou shalt not commit murder?
I believe it's murder. It's intentional thought of murder. When you're killing and eating food, the Bible says to eat meat is fine. No wrong with killing animals. It's the intent on
When
murder.
you're in cults, the interpretation and expression of these translations or whatever are key.
Well, just don't have a vegan translate it then, bud. Just don't have a vegan translate it. You're fine.
Is how they interpret it.
Just don't have a vegan translated. If you have somebody who's a vegan translate killing, then yeah, they're going to use it to the extent of what it is. It's premeditated murder. Killing in self-defense is not frowned upon in the Bible. Killing to protect yourself is not frowned upon in the Bible. It's the premeditated intent to murder somebody out of jealousy, hatred, whatever. I think those driving angers and sins are what causes murder.
Situation.
Right, but
the
listen,
jealousy and
sorry.
Oh, you cut out, Travis.
I can't hear. I can't hear.
How about now? I didn't mean to interrupt you, Joseph.
No, you're right,
you're
Travis,
pretty
go for it.
low, at least to me.
Okay, so just real quick, the Bible doesn't have a word murder, so you have to read the lines of intent. The Bible does differentiate between intentionally killing and accidentally, but that's a description. It spells the action out, differentiate. But there's only one word when it says Cain rose up and brother. It just says kill. It doesn't say murder because the Bible doesn't have a word for that. So
I think it's the Cain. It comes to the Cain and Abel story, right? It's the premeditation of it. I think that you're right about the word murder, or it's kill. It's not murder. It's kill, right? There's the word for kill in there, and I think the word, I can't remember. This is a while back, but the word for kill. There's two meanings for it. One is there's the premeditated kill, and then there's the kill to defend yourself, and then the kill to eat. But they're in two different categories. The kill to eat isn't killing, right? The kill to defend yourself and the kill to premeditate is kill. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like there's I have to go look it up.
Is anybody here a vegan or a vegan? Anybody on the panel? No.
I'm almost vegetarian. I don't eat red meat, but I'm not. I eat cheese and egg and stuff.
So does it have anything to do with not wanting to kill animals, or are you just, is it a diet choice?
No, it's because I don't like how they raise and kill the animals, especially the red meat ones. You know, the chickens are pretty bad too.
What's going on, everybody?
Hey, Matrix.
I think if I wanted to get red meat for a barbecue or a family function or whatever, then I go to a farmer here in town and get proper, meat that's been grown caringly and hasn't had hormones and shit put in it, and then, killed properly, not killed with fear and like they do with these big slaughterhouses. I just think it's totally different. Just killing them en masse.
It's pretty disgusting when you think about it. And to be honest, I feel bad about eating meat. I still eat it. And it just
I
doesn't
started
seem right.
feeling so bad that I just couldn't, like the taste of it started to make me feel physically ill. And I'm down to where I hardly even eat chicken anymore. I eat fish, but no red meat.
Yeah, that's how I got for a while. I was just eating chicken and fish. But
I just don't want to support the way they raise and slaughter those particular animals, Like I would eat the meat if a farmer has raised that cow and it's been given a good life and it's, had good food and none of these antibiotics and shit that they give all the cows in the slaughterhouses, and then, that might be okay.
That's like the grabblers that they eat so-called kosher food, and I think what kosher is torture free, because I think the things that the animals that we eat go through is like there's a possibility that because is all that fear or everything that animal goes through is in their bodies, in their molecular structure, and we're eating it.
Yes.
So all of that
and
goes
you're
in
eating
us.
it and putting it in yours. Yep.
Exactly. And I even think, this is just a thought, I have no proof of this, I even think that it's possible that dreams and things are cause of all that external DNA that
connected to that.
Yeah. It's and
it wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah, man. I just have that feeling that dreams have to do with these animals and with us eating their DNA and stuff and all their, because you don't really know where memory is stored, right? You could say it's in the brain, right? But water also retains memory, and the body is what, 90% water. So how can you tell me that the emotions of the animal is not in every piece that you bite?
Yeah.
So how does that connect
that's what
to
gets
dreams?
me. It's the emotion of the animal.
Like
it puts the frequency into your body, so then when you're asleep, your dreams might be affected by the imparting of the fear in the animal into you when you've eaten it.
It works like this, right? You guys ever heard of organ transplanting and the effects it has on the person that receives the organs, right? That their habits start to change, and little by little they start to pick up.
Sometimes they'll eat things they never ate before.
Well, every time you eat food, you're taking on that animal's characteristics and life experiences. You're eating it. You're putting it inside your body.
Yeah, just to change the subject briefly here, Bill Gates' famous kin. So Bill Gates was related to William the Conqueror, King of England. He's his 28th great-grandfather. That's Bill Gates' great-grandfather.
So they are
William
all
the Conqueror.
connected.
That's a long way back, though.
All through these royal lines.
There you go, dude. So it goes to show you that Bill Gates didn't found Microsoft. This is all bullshit. There's always a great story towards their agenda. Who created the internet? Who created the virus? Who creates the software? It seems to be like there's always that token torchbearer. Perfect way to say it.
Whoever creates the paperwork, because just because you're an inventor, you're super smart. It doesn't mean you know anything about business. You know what I'm saying? Anything about law. So there always comes a greedy grabbler that knows about these things, because that's what these people they do. They know about paperwork, and and they take credit for what somebody else did. Just like Edison, you start looking into Edison, and Edison didn't invent shit.
What is exactly. He just improved on other people's ideas. What do you think the odds are, though? Bill Gates is the head of the world's vaccination cause, the head of the computer program that we use in our, the head of it all. And his 28th great-grandfather is the conqueror, King of England. Like, give me a fucking break. You can't
I think
write
it's
a
supposed
movie.
to be exactly that way.
Exactly. You can't write a movie book any better than reality suggests. That it's just this big long line of nepotism and boredom. It seems like nepotism and boredom.
This is definitely.
There's got to be something spiritual in there too, though. Like, not just.
How can it be spiritual when you're looking at the human being as an evolved specimen? You can't be a spiritual being. Like, okay, you can have the argument. Okay, if you're not spiritual because you eat animals, right? Eat living flesh.
You can't be a Freemason without believing in a god. Like they definitely believe in a god.
Well, if you look, here's the thing: if you go look at morals and dogma, and you look at what Albert Pike says, the 10 Commandments from the Masons, they're all good commandments, man. Help your family out. Help your friends.
Well,
don't be a douchebag.
You look at the Agenda
don't lie.
2030. It sounds fantastic. They always have a great spin.
On paper, that doesn't sound good any at all. None of it. That 23 Great Reset doesn't sound good at all. None of it.
when they talk about, you know, helping places that
So they don't help. What it's called?
have poverty or
yeah,
they
what's
say
it's called?
they're going to do that, but they
It's
don't.
called it's called equal outcome page. Do you want equal outcome? Do you, if
No,
you're a better,
no.
if
Yeah,
you-
see, that's what I'm saying. They make it
Yeah.
sound good, but what they're trying to do is actually awful.
Yeah,
It's going
they
to
want
be
equal
way
outcome.
worse.
They want to take a runner. I'll give you an example. They want to take somebody who can outrun somebody else and be like, hey, you can't outrun somebody else. Let's put a whole bunch of weights on you and make you run as fast
weigh
as the
you
other
down.
person who can't run. Yeah, that's what equal outcome means.
But they talk as if they're going to lift the poor people up to meet the rich people, but they're not. They're actually
Not at
trying
all,
to push the like high middle class down to where the poor people are.
Yep, dependency, right?
Yeah,
When
but
you
they make
create
it sound. Yeah, create dependency. Yeah, that's why they had to get rid of all the businesses, so nobody
That's
has a way of having their independent income. So then you're reliant on what they will hand out
The
to you.
problem is there is no middle class. Legally, there is no middle class. There is the citizen, which are the peasants, and there are the private sector. There is no middle. There's no way to classify these people. What I think is going on is they're trying to eliminate this fraudulent system that's been going on. This is because the businesses, they're all fraudulent. So every aspect of that system seems to be going. Even the statues that
everything's fraudulent, Matrix.
From the de facto. They're all stories from the de facto. So this is what I think is going on.
Let's be fair though. Hold on. Not everything is a lie or fake. That's not a really good generalization to make.
Yeah, no,
because
I never said that.
We still have medicine. We still have machinery technology that has been phenomenal for our existence here, and very privileged to have that part of our, hot water, warm washer and dryer. We have all these things. So
But
there's
like
not
with water, they put fluoride in it. So even with the things that are good, there's always something bad in there. They're always lying about something. Oh, fluoride's good for you. Well, no, it's not.
Well, here's the thing.
What I mean?
Here's the thing. So there are people that think fluoride helps prevent the teeth from not rotting. Okay, so there seems to be studies that show fluoride prevents the decaying of teeth, but
so it doesn't matter if it makes you
hold on. So there's a consequence, though. The action, the intention is good, but the consequences are bad, because what happens when you drink a ton of this water? Well, they didn't think of that. They thought, hey, small amounts prevents decaying the teeth. We have studies that say fluoride prevents decaying on the teeth. But they didn't add is that excess exposure to fluoride creates a buildup, creates a neurotoxin.
See, I think
they didn't disclose that, right?
Knew that.
So,
I think they knew that and then just encouraged it anyway, because they knew it would dumb everyone down.
They did. So fluoride is a process of making steel, right? It's an additive, or sorry, it's a process.
A product, a byproduct.
Yeah, a byproduct of making steel, fluoride. For whatever chemical reaction and process making steel, they're left with this fluoride concentrate. So they thought that was they thought it was a good way to do it was to sell it, and so they found a reason to sell it, which was, hey, it prevents decaying of calcified objects. It
I think that was the story.
Decay.
The story supposedly was they didn't know what to do with it, and they kept they wanted
they don't have to pay to get rid of it now.
Exactly.
They can just
exactly.
So they created a propaganda, right? To make people like. Do we even have evidence that this is true?
I wouldn't. I listen. Anybody I've ever talked to, like for instance, the labs. If I approach them and say, "Look, I wanted to do a test sample of something. What do I do?" Well, you need acid. Acid is the primary one of the primary solutions they use to break down the elements of an object to see what's in it to do a dianalysis of it, or a diagnostic analysis of it. So can we go and get these acids? Yeah, sure, you can. You can order them to your house and do these tests under a microscope and then look at what they've done for it. This is all they're doing, right? So anytime you go test something, you break its element down in acid, and then you can use one of the oscillating machines to separate the fluids, and then you can look at it under a microscope, and you can see what element is inside it. This is what they do to break down, like for instance, when they spray this guy, the chemicals land on the ground, they take the dirt sample, then they etch the dirt with an acid, they dry it out from the acid, and then they're left over with the actual compound. And then they look at the compound and say, hey, there's a metal here, there's barium or aluminum, barium, aluminum, whatever it is. So they I don't know, why am I talking about chemical processing and etching? How do we go there?
Acid,
Fluoride
testing
somehow.
fluoride to see if it's true.
Oh yeah. So you guys can actually do this. My point was you can actually do this at home. I forget I don't think it's hydrochloric acid that you can use, but yeah. I asked the guys for hair samples because what I wanted to do as part of my documentary is actually go to places and get hair samples from people and actually take the hair samples to the lab to see if there's, metal content in it from spraying the skies. Because here in BC, they're spraying the skies. And the only way to win an argument is to actually do a chemical composition using acid to break down the elements to find the derivative, I guess, or the compound, right? And for whatever reason, the acid etches away all the excess and you're left with the compound. And I don't recall what the acid is. It's not hydrochloric. I don't think it's hydrochloric. I could be wrong. It could be hydrochloric, but this is the process. So you guys can do this yourself by learning the going into more detail. I'm half-assing it here. I should have brought it up before I talked about it. But I looked at doing this stuff for myself to see if I can, fluoride. How do I find fluoride in my water? Well, it's parts per million. So it's very hard to detect how much fluoride you have in your water without doing lots and lots of samples of water to get an average, let's say, right? So there's things that we can do to get them, which is if there's fluoride in your water, you think it's a neurotoxin, take the water, boil it down, do the chemical process to it, do the analysis, and then present your results. And be like, hey, city council, we have fluoride in our water, and this is a chemical toxin. This is the paper that nobody does it. Nobody's doing. We have the bicep.
Even if
I don't do
fluoride
it.
was slightly good for you, right? The fact that they put it in the drinking water and you have no choice is what bothers me. You
do have a choice. You have to write City Hall. Like here, where I live, we fought it. They put it into our groundwater, and then we fought it, and they took it out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You literally have to fight them to stop them doing it, rather than them asking permission first. They just go ahead and do something.
Because Cousin Billy knows Uncle Bob that they work in the plants together in their positions of power. So once we call them out for doing that nepotistic, that's all it is. All I've seen is like in our cabinet here in Canada is a whole bunch of Americans, a whole bunch of Canadians pretending to be Canadians with American passports in our Senate here, or in our Senate, because you guys have a Congress there. We have that problem where it's just scratch each other's back, and as that door gets narrow and narrower, we get dumber and dumber, right?
There's a series at the moment called His Honor or something on Stan, and the caption thing for it was "A father's love knows no bounds." And it's all about this, rich elite father whose son does, I think he hit and run somebody or something, and his father, greases all the skids for him, gets him off.
Do you know where I think the real evil lies? Is in nonprofit organizations. I think that's where the real deception lies.
Like the Red Cross and stuff.
That's what they use to wash the money.
That's what I'm saying. I think the real focus here would be these nonprofit organizations pushing causes and finding out the funding of the causes. So who's funding the fluoride push? Is it a nonprofit organization? I mean, this is years ago where they're pushing for the fluoride thing and and the argument but I don't have any direct evidence to suggest that fluoride has dumbed me down. I've been told it has dumbed me down, but I don't have any direct evidence for it. Do I have evidence that says fluoride is a toxin? Yeah, I do, because that's what it's classified as a toxin, right? So that's why even on toothpaste it tells you not to eat it, right? It's contact your physician if you've eaten it, right on your toothpaste. But if we don't actually go after these people that are running the organizations themselves, like the Scientologists, you guys were talking about this yesterday. The Scientologists were brilliant in their scheme against the government. I think the IRS came at them for a huge amount of tax money or something like that. You know what the Scientologists did to get out of it? And this is in the documentary Going Clear. Watch the documentary Going Clear. They had like 3,700 lawyers file in one day 3,700 complaints. lawsuits against the IRS. Basically, the Scientologists forced the hand of the IRS to drop the charges because they put so many. They basically would have taken years and years to fight the IRS in court. 3,700.
Wow.
Filed. Yeah, so that's what they did in the Going Clear documentary. Now, can I verify that? No, that's in the Going Clear documentary. So imagine if 1,000 of us, 100 of us, wrote a letter to one MP simultaneously, and we're all in cahoots, 100 of us. I guarantee you that fucking guy, there'd be something going on. Especially if 100 of us every day or every week wrote a letter of concern. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see any of that. I've been trying to kind of do that test run at it, but nobody is interested. Nobody's really, you know, like in Australia, Paige, if you had 50 of your friends all write one MP, I don't like the lockdowns. The lockdowns aren't going on. They're unconstitutional. You said what you said, and all your 50 people said it all in one day, and that person got all those emails in one day, and they're from all legitimate people, then I think change is honestly.
Yeah, we have actually in Townsville, I think it was, in Queensland, they set up a common law court, had, you know, a couple of hundred people, whatever it was, and actually changed the laws, the regulations, restrictions for the COVID masks, wrote a bylaw saying that those wearing of masks, restrictions and stuff were unlawful, and then went around the town showing everybody the new laws and saying you don't have to have these signs, you don't have to wear these masks. This is all now unlawful. So it definitely can be done. You know, you just got to get enough people
That's
together.
what I mean. That's what I mean. So it's thank goodness there are people that we see in the media taking the brunt first, like the mom that's pregnant there, like everybody who's doing it. Good. Thank goodness that they exist. And I wouldn't be surprised, in all fairness, if there wasn't controlled opposition also doing this as well, is because, like I said, there's no economy, right? So if they're wanting to change us morally, they have to put new laws in, remove restrictions, create red tape, create confusion, wear us down, and then introduce a new system. And that's what they're doing, right?
If people understood how much power, how much authority they actually have if they just don't give their consent, you know, if they realised the birth certificate fraud and all this kind of stuff, then they'd be going, oh, hang on, yeah, we do have the power. Because a common law sheriff can deputise a police officer. They have more power than a police officer. So, you know, I could become a sheriff, and then I could go down to my local police station, deputise all the police in there, and, you know, start arresting people or whatever, you know, if you've got evidence that they've done something. And they're starting to do that with these laws for the COVID.
So why do you think not even 100 people can come together under one idea and write? And here we have MLAs, member at large, whatever, member of parliament, member of legislative assembly. Sorry, MLA, member of legislative assembly. We have them here. So I've written to them. In fact, I wrote about maybe 2 months ago a real big letter to all of the PMs, the prime ministers here in Canada, and the courthouses. I'd have to look at the email, but it's a very, very lengthy chain email to all the upper leaders here in Canada. And I addressed all statistical facts. I addressed everything that was on the CDC's website, also Health Canada's website, using their own numbers and asking for clarification from any member of parliament to provide me with accuracy, as I was a concerned citizen for Canada and uncertain between the discrepancy as what's being described on the news and what you have on your website for patients in the ICU, etc. I wanted to clarify, does COVID affect 1% of the kids in Canada? If so, if it only has if it only affects 1%, why is my daughter wearing a mask at school? Why are you social distancing her? That's one question I asked. I was looking for clarification. Replied again, nowhere in the documentation does it say that kids are super spreaders. that they're putting everybody in danger for this. Could you clarify? I'm just asking for clarification. I can't go through everything I said. What do you think I got back?
A form letter?
Thank you for your concern, but we know what we're doing, basically.
I got nothing back. Not even a reply.
Nothing. That's even worse.
Nothing
oh
back.
my God.
Yep. Nothing back. Now, have I gone and replied again? No. Waiting. Maybe it takes longer than a month to reply or 2 months to reply back. The point is that I don't want to appear like I'm a nut, because I am asking things that are going against the narrative in the email. I am not agreeing with the news. And I show the news caption, the X amount of cases, but then the infection is 6%, but then yet the recovery rate is 99%. So what's going on here? You're using statistics.
Yeah, you got
to present.
105%.
You're using your statistics here.
Whatever.
Well, that's what I mean. They're using their statistics to push an idea that it's a danger, but at the end of the day, what was the statistics on the flu? Well, it's still greater. So if the flu has the same perpetuation or the same statistics, then where's the separation here? And by the way, according to the deaths in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, where is the extra deaths? Where is the overwhelming payload of deaths that are encumbered on top of the deaths that we are normally at? They don't exist. So
you didn't get any answer to your questions then?
Nothing, dude. Listen, I sent a letter to the RCMP. Do you know what I got back from the RCMP? And I addressed geoengineering. I addressed nonprofit organizations. I addressed foreign funding and influence in the election. I asked for where I could find the information out, where your resources were. I'm looking to clarify because of the noise and misinformation with the news and media. I wanted to clarify my concerns as a Canadian citizen, and being that you guys uphold the oath, you do the rigmarole, you do the speech. I got back, we cannot reply everything that you're talking. We're currently under investigation. That's what they say. So everything I mentioned on the fucking list is under investigation. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, Data, because remember, Data, in order to get that info, you'd have to make what they call a public records request. Okay, so then it's still going to take 6 months to get back to you, and everything's going to be redacted to cover their fucking asses, so no fucking governor gave any fucking order. It's all redacted, all this shit, right? But you'll get your info, but only under their terms.
Did
right?
I tell you that? I told you guys that I got arrested there not too long ago and jailed and all that shit. And they dropped the charges, And I asked the guy on the way to the jailhouse. I said, buddy, look, man. I says, I'm wanting to be a journalist, a wannabe, right? This is the whole thing with Flat Earth is just investigation, Columbo style journalism, At least that's what you want to be anyway, it's just dreaming, right, at this point. So I told him, I says, I'm wanting to be an investigative journalist, and I'm looking at geoengineering, I says, what are your thoughts on it? Now, this is, of course, me reading into it, but he fucking squinted his eyes like he knew what I was asking him about. It's just the way his body language was. He takes a sip of his water, squints his eyes, and kind of does that snarl look kind of thing and be like, that's past my pay grade. So you have people in the industry that have taken the oath that know they're fucking spraying us. They know there's foreign governments in here manipulating. They know the media is lying. And they're not doing fucking anything about it.
Every judge and every lawyer knows when they swear their oath to the bar, they know what they're doing. They know what that means.
But everybody knows that they're lying to us. I mean, it's got to be.
No. The lawyers and the judges know.
But there's got to be at least 50% of the population that knows that we're being lied to on a mass scale. I think they are very good at giving the impression that it's just a small group of people.
Brandon, when it comes to an administrative society, like Paige is talking about, the judges we interact with are pretty much low level. I mean, super low level. They have the power of the whole law behind them. But when it comes to their knowledge of shit.
But to even be in that position, they have to know what they're doing. They have to know how to trick you into giving up your authority. No, they know.
Here's what's sad, though. Here's what's worse, though. Here's what's worse and dangerous.
Aaron wasn't able to finish his thought. Sorry.
I was almost done. So, thank you, Travis. But yeah, Paige, all I'm saying is they are more brainwashed than our neighbors who would convict us even harder.
No, the judges have to know, because if you say certain things, they will leave the room because they know what you're doing.
Oh, wait, okay. If you say something in a legal sense, in a language they can understand, legalese, possibly they'll have to go review it. Yeah, they'll have to go review it and do all that. But we're talking about COVID. and climate engineering and stuff. Now, if we're talking about a traffic case, a little bit different. I get it, but
I mean, the police, I think, are just brainwashed. Most of the police, but I'm talking
the
like once you
mayors,
actually get
every low
into
level,
being a judge or something like that, then you do have a grasp on the deception, how the deception works. You would have to.
Paige, would you say that
Otherwise, somebody like me could walk in and,
Paige, would you say that
say things that...
a municipal judge's job is to actually administer justice? That's his actual job? His or her?
No.
Not at all, right? They're only there.
No.
They're only there to convict and collect.
They're working for a company. Police are policy enforcers. They are
So they don't need
literally
to know
a gang
anything.
that
But
the
they don't need
elite
to know
use.
anything to convict and collect.
Yeah,
It doesn't
they
take
do,
much
because
knowledge.
there are certain things you can say that will force a judge to actually get up from his chair and leave the room, because they know they can't say anything.
In a
Yes,
legalese sense. Yeah.
but I'm just saying, to be able to do that, he would have to know, at least have a grasp of the deception to know that this person is... Yeah, he's a bar member. That's it. If you're part of the bar, then you have a grasp of the deception. I'm 100% sure of that.
No.
You at least have a grasp of it.
Hold on, listen, hold on, sir. I'm sorry. There's a disconnect in this conversation, and you both are going to keep the same.
Yeah, I know. We're both one on each side. Sorry.
You guys are not hitting. You're not hitting the same connection. So I think we should either move past this, or you guys should go find a room.
The point is they have to turn a blind eye to keep their job. That is basically what
a better way to put it. Yeah. Okay.
That's what I see and observe from the interactions that I've had, asking uncomfortable questions, what I consider uncomfortable, because I shouldn't be fucking asking, are they spraying the skies on us? I shouldn't even be having to ask that question, because we shouldn't be living in a world where people would think that would be a fucking great idea. Okay? Anybody thinking that spraying the skies is a great idea with chemicals? Yeah, I don't think you have your skill sets all together there.
Yeah.
When you wrote that massive
and
missive,
it's our skies too. How dare they?
Like, when you wrote that massive missive, Data, why didn't you write it to the CDC versus a parliament?
So I've already called CBC personally on the phone. I've said to them, I said, look, I asked them to retract an article one time regarding the fucking polar bears. They ended up making, was it the polar bears? No, it was the something to do with the climate list. There was fucking Mickey Mouse written on it. And I ended up calling in about the article, and they said, well, we already retracted it. And I said, we already changed it. I said, no, why don't you remove it? Because it's a fucking lie. So I called them. I didn't swear at them, though. I didn't swear. I'm much more
the CDC
polite.
deals with climate issues? I thought the CDC
Yeah,
was
so
disease.
the reporters, right? No, CBC. Sorry, I'm thinking Canadian Broadcast Corporation, not CDC.
Yeah, not CBC. CDC.
Yeah.
Why didn't you write your email to CDC? Because you probably would have been a little bit better chance of getting a response from them. It would have been bullshit regardless. I get it.
Well, I'm getting the information from their webpage. Like, for instance, in the studies they do, all the mask studies say that it says may prevent. It doesn't say stop the spread. It says may prevent. And all the people that did the studies, like out of the...
Have you seen the new? I know your mic just cut out. But have you seen just recently, yesterday or 2 days ago, the WHO and CDC just came out and said the PCR test, the polymerase chain reaction test, right, has been giving false positives, just like all these conspiracy theorists have been saying, and just like the manufacturer, the inventor of it, said it will, if you run it long enough, it'll give you whatever answer you fucking want. So the CDC just recently changed their website. You can go look it up. Said that the PCR test is giving false positives. That's very interesting, right? Because we're all in lockdown because of cases, right?
Exactly. So it's a cycle. It's a cycle process, right? I think they do 10 cycles per test or something like that, and it takes a couple of days to do the cycles.
Yeah, and it's just a very basic indicator of what could be found. The PCR test. Yeah,
just a bunch of COVID deniers.
The guy who created that test said it wasn't even supposed to be used for
No, yeah.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Diagnostic identifier.
Coronavirus has already been around since the 70s anyway. There's 36 classified strains of it.
Yeah.
So coronavirus is not new. It's like I said, they're just lying with statistics.
It's one of
So
the
if they can
causes
change
of
the
the common cold, for fuck's sake. It's in Wikipedia.
Exactly. So if they can
It's
change
on the
the
back
like
of the
I
Lysol white things.
Yeah.
exactly. I think it's just I think it's bacteria driven because that's how you get when you go to any foreign country and you're doing exploring and you're going into bat caves. One of the concerns is getting the bacteria from the poop of the bat into your lungs, right? That's a common thing. So if they took the protein of that bat poop and somehow put it into an aerosol, right? Then it's a bioweapon, right? That's the whole point. And then if it's a bioweapon, they can keep doing this thing over and over again because they can inject their aerosol whenever they decide to.
Well, I mean, the dirty Jesuits are basically taking down America for not going along with the climate, accord, whatever, like a year or two ago. Trump pulled us out of that, and they're like, well, how are we going to enslave the whole world? They're not going for this climate nonsense. How are we going to, ruin these countries and bring them to heel? Oh, a pandemic. It's like they just went with plan B.
So, Lemon, it's kind of big news where the CDC and the WHO have admitted that the PCR test has been giving false positives, right? It's not on mainstream media. You won't find it on either scope of it, left or right, any country, okay? But it's on their website, okay? So it's not being reported. But how come it's not being reported? What do you think?
Well, they're gearing you toward a certain narrative, basically fear and take the vaccine at all costs. And I put in the chat, in the general chat, a blog which goes over all of the fakery, all of the deaths they're not talking about, all of the adverse reactions. It goes over everything.
Is that Tiffany Dover talked about in there yet? Because I've heard that somebody
but before
somebody paid for
Tiffany,
the results.
Yeah, before we jump on Tiffany, okay, James Corbett did a great report today about why that the CDC and the WHO would put that out. Because remember, every truth has to be put in front of our face, even though it's not right in front of your face. It's got to be put on paper somewhere so they can say, "See,
it's got to be able to be found." Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, you just didn't look.
James made a good correlation, if you want to call it that. He said, well, the vaccines have been out now for about a month, right? But cases have still been going up, right? So in every single country, I think England just hit the record number of cases. Well, here's what's going to happen is cases and deaths are going to start going down. And the authorities, whoever these fuckers are going to say, because the vaccines are working. But no, it's actually because we're getting less positive tests from the PCR. And if anybody questions it, you can go back and look it up from the CDC and say, yep, no, that's why, actually. But they're never going to report that on the mainstream media. They'll say it's due to the vac. And there you go, boom. Now the rest of the fucking world's going to be like, wow, that vac is effective.
Well, there's so many ways they can go with it. I mean, if there's adverse reactions or deaths from the vaccine, they could just mark it down as COVID deaths or whatever.
Oh, no, or
So
they'll
there's so
change
many
it to
ways
the
that they could
flu.
say this.
Or they'll change
with
it to the actual thing. Yeah, they'll change it to the actual thing called a broken arm. That's why the guy died. They won't
But with
put it as
Tiffany
COVID.
Dover, I saw a video where they went online for registry records, and they say they found a Tiffany Dover in the same state, similar relatives, similar age.
That's the one.
Appears to be, yeah. It appears that she was 30 years old, and that she's died. Tiffany Dover, at the very least, died recently in that state. So if it's the same one, if it's a psyop, I don't know. But she did supposedly faint on television. People say that there's occultic signs even in that video because she was in front of a microphone that had the number 33 on it. And people say, this could be like a psyop or a plan or a fake. And then they're showing videos of her, or pictures of her with co-workers,
not videos.
after the
that
event or
was
whatever. But
totally different woman. She was way bigger and had different coloured eyes and all kinds of stuff. But it wouldn't surprise me if they are doing this as a psyop, so that they're giving both sides a bit of ammunition. They're like, oh, we'll give the anti-vaxxers this little bit of information about this person that might have died side so that they can argue, more with.
As far as I know, Paige, her family has come on to her Facebook post and her Instagram and her Twitters or whatever and said, Tiffany's fine. You guys are all just conspiracy theorists. Everyone calm down. Tiffany's fine.
So why hasn't
they'll
she...
post a picture. Yeah, they'll post a picture. But if we don't see her on video, like I saw her when she passed out, I ain't buying it, right?
Oh, we've got the cops' crime scene investigator car just drove past. Ooh, something interesting's going on around here.
Get your phone out. Get your camera out.
Got it.
So we got to be careful with a lot of these things because there are false stories that are put out, and I don't know if they're put out purposely like you just described. It's very possible, but they know how to set us up to look stupid. Look at what happened in Washington D.C. About a week ago. I mean,
exactly, Brandon. I had a big fight with my man about that. Yeah, because he was going, Trump's making all these people riot and break into the Capitol. I'm like, actually go and watch that from a different perspective, and you'll hear all the Trump supporters going, stop it, Antifa, what are you doing? Stop it.
Let me jump in just real quick. So, even though I know about 33, right? I never saw that. Okay, so I don't know if I made a music video on Tiffany Dover, and the very first clip is her in front of the microphone, and that microphone is for channel 3, but the microphone is turned catty corner so that two sides of the square are showing. One side is 3, the other side is 3. Fucking 33. I didn't even see it. Didn't even see that. That is crazy.
Yeah,
Travis, I've never ever had
I've
never had a channel 3, right? It's always 2, 4. You might have channel 7, 8, 10.
Yeah, we don't have a channel 3 either. We've got like 2. Yeah.
3 wasn't it
2,
always the
7,
one?
9, 10.
Wasn't 3 always the one that you would use to put on your VCR or whatever?
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. You hook up your Sega Genesis or your VCR or whatever. That's channel 3.
Very good, Brandon. That's right.
Well, this article from the site says this is extremely important to understand. Please listen as Dr. Dolores Cahill warns COVID vaccine recipients of viral interference dangers. It says why people will start dying a few months after the first mRNA COVID vaccinations. The whole concept of vaccines is that by letting the body practice on a weak or inert copy of a pathogen, the immune system is then prepared for the real thing if it encounters it. These are known as attenuated vaccines. The mRNA contained in the COVID vaccine is designed to express the virus inside a person's living cell tissue. The theory being sold here is that if a cell can manufacture a coronavirus per these instructions, then the immune system will practice on that and there is no need to inject the actual pathogen. But this is not what will happen, and they know it. The dangerous thing is that about this is these instructions spread to all the cells, tissues of the body, and it will create coronavirus in all of them eventually, while the immune system simply stands still, poised to attack everything. A cascading effect is triggered when any new coronavirus mutation is encountered, resulting in a massive cytokine storm because the body's natural immune response will recognize the coronavirus mutation as a pathogen and only then suddenly realize this virus is present in every cell in the body. The immune system will go into overdrive and begin attacking the entire body.
Oh, wow.
Holy
the
crap,
person will
that's
get
scary.
very sick very fast and will have a life-threatening health event their natural immune system will be unable to counter. They will go into septic shock and die of multiple organ failure within 3 to 5 days. Furthermore, because this mRNA cannot be removed, coronavirus production is now just part of their body's natural cell processes, meaning even if they survive such an event, by means of some medical intervention, they will always have this risk of death anytime a new coronavirus mutation is encountered, and there are new ones all the time, every single year. This is exactly the opposite result a vaccine is supposed to produce, and people may not make the connection that the vaccine directly caused this problem because of the time that may pass in between exposures. They certainly won't be allowed to blame the vaccine, even if they were certain that is what did it. They will just be told they have simply contracted a new, more deadly coronavirus like COVID-21, 22, 23, etc. Do not get vaccinated. The COVID vaccine has been engineered to make a common cold deadly.
They'll
That's
get
from the site.
vaccinated. They'll vaccinate people into having to stay in their house to stay alive.
Well, that's that's one of the funny things when they first started in the UK. They had someone on television, and they were talking about the vaccine, and they're like, yeah, showing the first woman that that elderly lady that they carted out there to give the vaccine to. They're like, well, of course, just because you get the vaccine doesn't mean that you're not going to get COVID, but it does decrease your risk of getting hospitalized. So you can still get it. You can still end up in the hospital, but supposedly it cuts down on your. I don't know. I personally, I'm not getting the vaccine, but it just doesn't seem right. It just, the whole thing seems fishy, and the fact that it's going to change your DNA. It's literally going to change your
That's
RNA,
what
I guess.
scares me.
Yeah, not your DNA,
Putting
but your
that stuff in.
I don't know, man. That's
mRNA.
I don't know if any of what Lemon said is true because I haven't looked into it myself, but we're rushing something through and then we're going to give it to everybody in the world that will take it. Seems risky, to say the least.
Especially over something that we haven't had people like, bodies lining the streets in major cities and stuff, which is what they told us was going to happen. That hasn't happened. You've been out and about for a year now with this shit going on. So what's the harm in waiting another year or two to see what happens with the vaccine before you go,
Well, they can always say, well, you haven't seen that because of the actions we took. They got built-in reasons for everything.
Yeah.
In the United
one
States,
person dies every 21 seconds, apparently. That's with these new numbers that just came out last week, right? One person every 21 seconds is falling over dead. 3 people a minute.
Well,
3 people a minute.
If they can get people to believe that water curves around a ball and holds itself like that, then they can get you to believe just about anything, eh?
In California, I remember, right, they were trying to get that big medical ship to come into LA Harbor or somewhere in California, but it's unavailable or something.
Comfort and Mercy or whatever they were?
Yeah, but it was unavailable.
Yeah, what happened to them?
But now they're bringing in reefer trucks. That was on the news. They're just piling in these refrigerator trucks to keep all the dead bodies. Yeah.
Oh, refrigerator. I thought you meant reefer as in dope, weed, reefer truck. I'm thinking, what the freak is a reefer truck? Can I have one of them?
All right. Yeah, it's all very
refrigerated.
Lots of big changes happen in the country.
You're backing them in there
sure.
and dropping them off.
So let's go through final
Pile up
thoughts.
all these bodies that are apparently dropping dead in California, but nowhere else is asking for reefer trucks.
So it's 7:45. Let's go through final thoughts and call it.
But you're
night.
onto something, Paige. Considering.
Can you guys hear me?
That the government is.
I can. Hey, Aaron.
Aaron.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Way
Aaron.
to do
Hey,
that
Aaron.
than to call it
Aaron.
a reefer truck.
Aaron.
Stop talking. COVID. Everybody's happy. Nobody thinks.
Aaron, can you hear us?
But it's full of pot.
It seems like maybe he
that they
can't.
can sell.
I think his
Great idea.
headphones must have knocked off.
I think he's got everyone else on mute. Yeah.
He just mutes everyone else and then keep talking.
Probably.
That's a good strategy. Yeah. All right. Hopefully he'll figure it out. We'll go through this. Let's start off at the top today. Data.
Travis, if
final
you ever
thoughts.
haul refrigerated trailers.
Hold on, let me
Oh
ping
God,
him.
here we go again.
They should be biohazard certified cleaned because you don't know if they've ever hauled dead bodies full of COVID before, so make sure you check on that every time you get hooked
Aaron,
up.
can you hear us? Can you hear us?
I don't think so.
I don't think you can hear us.
He's wondering why isn't anyone else talking? He's going to start talking again. Data, try to give your final thoughts. I pinged him. No? Okay, Travis.
Yeah, I doubt you can hear me. I'm breaking up. I can't hear you. So great show.
Oh, thanks, man. No, we can hear you. Jeremy.
Yeah, good show. Good show.
Thanks, Jeremy. Jimbo. Jimbo? No? George. Matrix Media J.
Good show, Brandon. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming, man. Paige.
Yeah, thanks for having me too, Brandon. Been a good show. I love it when we can talk about anything. You know, it's great. So thank you. So and everybody just think twice before going and having the jab. Like, you know, I understand if you're in a job or something that they're pressuring you, but you know, if you can just give it a little bit more time and just see, you know, wait and see what happens before you actually, because if it's irreversible and does stuff to your DNA, then, you know, it could do stuff to your future children and all this kind of stuff because it's your DNA. So, yeah, just be careful.
Yeah, thanks, Paige. Lemon.
Put on the full armor of God. These people are satanic liars. The media's fake. The science is fake. The world is fake. Good luck out there. Put on your discernment caps and be careful.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Lemon. Essie. Bob.
Yeah, I think the fact that we have basically an entirely separate court system set up in the United States just for like vaccine lawsuits, you can't do it. You can't take it into the regular court system. Apparently, you have to go into this separate court system to do your vaccine lawsuit and stuff like that. The fact that that even exists for that field should just be these gigantic red flags and alarms just blaring in your head. So
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger, danger.
Yeah, basically. That's absurd. And the argument of, well, if they didn't do that, there would just be so many lawsuits that they would go out of business. That's not a good argument. There's plenty of other things that exist in our world that people could come up with all kinds of frivolous lawsuits. We have a system established already for frivolous lawsuits, which means these ones clearly aren't frivolous because they set up a whole other court system just to deal with them specifically, and they're not getting thrown out. Otherwise, they wouldn't need a court system for them.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. Thanks to the panel for coming tonight. And good discussion. We'll be back tomorrow night, so we'll see y'all later. I'll come back and record the after show. My thoughts, obviously nobody on this panel is a medical expert. We're not offering medical advice. We're just giving you our opinion on how we feel about things. And it's my opinion, it personally is the same as pretty much everyone I've talked to. They're worried. They don't trust people. They don't trust big pharma or big pharma. And they think everything that's going on is very strange. So that's not an unusual opinion, but I guess the more they hide it, the easier we are to control and manipulate and make them do what we want. That's what it feels like. And when you don't know who to trust, that's a big problem. And that's, Lemon said it best. The media's fake. So it's the lowest of the low in the country, period.
Well, come on, Brandon. You guys just keep slinging horse shit all the time. Bob Dole is wrong.
George, shut the fuck up, George.
For
Shut
coronavirus.
up.
All right. Well, George, we'll let him rage in there with those guys. That's about to blow up. Anyway, have a good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, start of the weekend. Everybody loves Friday. Hope everybody has a good night. Thanks to those who supported the channel tonight. Thanks to everybody in chat. Looks like we got rid of a few trolls tonight. So thanks to the mod for taking care of business out there. Appreciate it. I'm not sorry to see people go. I don't really care about the numbers if it means having a bunch of people around who are just going to talk shit and try to make us feel like shit constantly. They can do that somewhere else. We put up with that shit for years. There's just it has no utility for us whatsoever. If you want to come and have constructive conversation, tell us why you think that the Earth is a globe. That's cool. We can argue back and forth. We can joke around. But coming in, calling us stupid, all that shit, yeah, we don't need it. That's all right. You can go somewhere else. Go to Gems. They like to do that in there. You can do it. You can all do it together. Anyway, take care, people, and have a good night.